You damn right. Hope you're having a good Tuesday. Hot out there again. Please be careful. Please stay cool. There's a lot of stuff to get into today. It will start with the defense of someone. Somebody's got to defend themselves to start this show. We got some good thoughts to send out where we didn't think they were going to be needed. We got some deals signed in sports. We got a big deal around these parts that people are talking about when it comes to the Texas Longhorns. We may even try to check in at Cowboys camp a little later in the show. Here we go on a Tuesday. It is Chad and Zay. I am Chad Hastings, and I do not really feel the need to have to defend myself today. But I am joined, as always, by the one and only Isaiah Collier, and I think he's got a little defending he needs to do right about now. What's up, Zay?
What up, Chad? Yo, like the Tower crew, Craig, Jeff, Cam, y'all better put some respect on my name. Bizarro Dale Dudley out here talking crazy like your boy couldn't get up. Yeah, I might have messed up the bet with Michael Griffin, but I can still get up. You know what I'm saying? And I put the tweet out there of me throwing it down. Don't get it mistaken for Dwayne Wade. No, that's your boy. That's your boy. So put some respect on my name, please.
All right. I am so sorry, Zay. Once again, I am the old man trying to find – oh, you know what it is? Here's what it is. Now, this is the old man comment of the day. Have you noticed that on the new version of Twitter, instead of every new thing being at the top, it's at the bottom? Have you noticed that? I have to go all the way to the bottom of stuff to find it now?
Yeah, it's a little weird.
Is that my problem? Because I can't find you dunking. Why can't I find you dunking?
I sent you the message.
You did? Okay.
Yeah.
See, now you know. You're like,
I just got...
I'm working with this old bastard. I got to... Dadgummit. All right, there you are. Okay, hang on. First of all, let me watch this video.
Yeah, man, check it out.
And make sure. How long ago are we talking about?
Don't worry about that.
Oh, come on.
It was a while ago.
Come on.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me just say Charles Barkley in his prime. Let me just say that. The power, the physicality, the get out of my way-ness of that is exactly what you're getting there. So let me get this retweeted. Yeah, I got to let everybody know.
I appreciate the love. The only thing me and Charles Barkley have in common is that we both like donuts and pizza. That's probably it. Basketball-wise, not much. But, yeah, I'll take it. I'll take anything right now because like the Tower, they were talking crazy on your boy.
It is crazy. Yeah, I mean, and again, no disrespect. No disrespect to the other two people in this discussion because, correct me if I'm wrong, the question was who can dunk now? I guess who can dunk better or who has the ability to dunk? It was you, Mark Henry, and Cameron Parker.
Yeah, because Cam apparently got up yesterday and threw one down.
Okay.
And I had to, make sure I got the facts. He said he threw it down with a actual basketball. I don't think it was 28.5 or a tennis ball or volleyball.
Yeah.
Like, it was full regulation. So I still need film. And to be honest, we got this new court out here. And I know it's hot. But, hey.
That's true.
Cam, he might have to show me something because I got proof now. There's proof out there that your boy could get up once upon a time. Again, you asked when it was. It might have been maybe around 10 years ago. But that's okay. It's okay. I put on a few more LBs. It's all right now.
A couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I'm a shooter now. I'm a passer.
Yeah,
exactly. I'm not that high athlete that you once knew. But, Cam, yeah, we got a goal now. Out here, and you out here talking about you got up yesterday. I need to see the proof. If there ain't no video out there, I need to see the proof. Because I do always compare Cameron Parker to Alex Caruso, and he might be living up to that. He might be really living up to the Aggie brethren of yours.
I think Cameron Parker is probably springier than some people would give him credit for. And I would also say the same thing about Mark Henry. He is such a freakishly good athlete. I'm not going to put anything past Mark Henry.
Oh, no.
Anything. Unless you're saying, like, can Mark Henry beat Usain Bolt today in a 100-meter sprint? I'd probably say no. But in terms of this kind of stuff, I'm like, you know what? I've seen Mark recently. He's in great shape. He's still Mark Henry. So I would think it's possible. I think there should have been more of a full discussion, and you did not get your credit. Here's what I like, though, is what I tell people happened behind the scenes. Zay was very insulted by this, but then he walked over to the studio, opened the door to Cameron, and goes, so you dunked, huh? He goes, yeah. First question out of Zay's mouth, with a real ball? like Cameron was going to say, actually, it was a hard-boiled egg. I'm sorry. My bad.
There's a difference, man. There's a difference.
I remember when guys around me, when we were in like junior high basketball, that time where some guys are first able to just dunk and just get there, and guys would start with the tennis ball. That was the thing. You'd start practicing with the tennis ball. And then you'd work your way up. Tennis balls, then they'd try like softballs, baseballs, and work your way to a basketball.
Yeah.
Because at that time, you couldn't do that. So I had friends that could do the tennis ball. Nobody could do the basketball during those days. But there you go. Zay thought he needed to defend himself. Get on Twitter and check out Zay Dunking at @ain't_that_Zay. I'm at chastings1049, and I just retweeted him.
By the way, one of the greatest photos that I see going around social media right now is Mark Henry when he had the braids and whatnot during his wrestling days.
Mm-hmm.
Rocking the James Harden jersey and people saying this is how James Harden looks now trying to get out of Philly. One of the greatest photos that you see out right now.
And kind of rude to our man, Mark. A little bit rude.
A little bit rude.
A little rude.
But also, Mark knows what he is.
James Harden wakes up every other day wishing that he was the athlete Mark Henry is.
Very true.
Let me just say that, okay? To defend Mark Henry. I'm going to defend sexual chocolate and defend the world's strongest man on that one. All right, so, hey, speaking of basketball, we got to start with something we didn't think we would need to start with, but we got to send best wishes, get well wishes out to LeBron's son, Bronny. He is stable. He is out of ICU, but he had a cardiac arrest event. This is the oldest son of LeBron, the one that's at USC. He's going to be a freshman this year at USC. We would assume it's a one-and-done situation for LeBron's kid. So a really scary deal here, Zay, but they were able to revive him. I don't know, I guess maybe CPR or just get him to the hospital, but they say he's okay now. He's out of ICU, at least he's stable. And outside of that, they're trying to ask for respect and people to just chill out on it. But, man, I hope Bronny James is going to be okay, and maybe there's something going on with him that medically they didn't know about, but maybe this keys them into it?
Yeah, very scary when anybody goes down something like this in sports. You're terrified from it. And what we saw with DeMar Hamlin this past NFL season, that just makes the stakes even higher when anything like this happens. It just happens to be somebody with a highlight name like Bronny James, the son of LeBron James. So, yeah, hopefully everything's all right. You know, he's already out of ICU, which is incredible.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, I mean, we just never know. Like, at the end of the day, this is one of the best athletes out there. So you never think about these things happening to D1 premier athletes. And, you know, it could happen to anybody. And that's what's really scary about it. So, yeah, hopefully the James family is all right. And Bronny's doing well. And he could get back to being a college student, a college athlete.
So off of this story, Zay, I got sent an email from the Director of Communications and Marketing at the American Heart Association, sending out some national media and information off of this story because obviously they know how big it is. So shout out to them for getting some information out. How about this scary stat? About 7,000 young people between the ages of 6 and 19 experience sudden cardiac arrest every year. It says nearly 20% of those happen out of the home, often on a court or field.
Jeez.
Scary stuff. Obviously, get you to the discussion of of CPR, but also of having the having AEDs around the defibrillators to help out. So there's obviously that discussion will kind of ramp up, I'm sure, with Bronny James going through something. So again, hope he is going to be all right. And hey, if you're out there and you're feeling something, I'm a guy in my late 40s. And usually it's men that won't respond to stuff like that. If you're feeling some chest pains or whatever, get in and get it checked out. I was thankful. They found something on a physical of mine a couple years ago, and I took a stress test. They found some numbers they didn't like, and then they found that there was a blockage. And eventually with the stress test, I found out blood flow was normal, but the number freaked them out. So we had to go in and look at it. But I've got some calcium buildup or whatever, but it's built up in such a way that's not hurting me. But they needed to find that out. So if you have those situations going on, please get that checked out. So all the best to Bronny James. Also today, all the best to these dudes signing some serious contracts. We'll start in the NFL, where yesterday we told you Saquon Barkley was part of the Zoom call and hadn't signed a deal yet, hadn't signed the franchise tender, and he did not sign the franchise tag, but they did come up with a deal, a 1-year deal. So maybe 6-1, half dozen the other here. 1 year, $11 million, 10.1 guaranteed. There's some incentives built in. He doesn't have a no franchise tag clause, so they could tag him again after next year. But Zay, this is big news, obviously, for Giants fans. It's a what's up to Cowboy, Eagles, and Washington fans that this dude is in camp and he will be with the Giants moving forward.
Yeah, you know he's a team player at the end of the day. He didn't want to go about it this way, and the fact that they came to a solution, that's big time for the New York Giants. But, all the people saying, oh, he just got $1 million more than the average value. Like, $1 million's a lot of money. Now, taxes are crazy in New York. You had A-Rod during the Yankees talking about he was living in Florida. You remember those days. But, hey, at the end of the day, Saquon Barkley, he's a good teammate. He understands that you don't have many years to play in the NFL at a high level that he can play at. So playing now when this team, even though I don't think they have Super Bowl aspirations, they did make some noise with Brian Daboll last year beating the Minnesota Vikings and then losing to the Philadelphia Eagles in the playoffs. So we're going to talk about the NFC East later, and he probably thinks that they're right there. Now, I know it probably grinds his gears to see all the money that Daniel Jones has got with what he's done throughout the course of his career compared to Saquon. But at the end of the day, if you want to play football and you got to understand the value of the running back right now, which isn't very high, but he took what he could got, and yeah, the Giants should be in a good situation.
So I looked up the incentive thing. I've never really done this on a contract, but I decided to look with Saquon because we've talked about all the different things. So his incentives are he gets equal money. It's that extra $1 million split evenly. So $333,000 for each of these. 1,300 rushing yards, 11 touchdowns, and 65 catches. So 1,300 rushing yards. He's done that twice in his career, and he did it last year, just over 1,312. The 11 touchdowns, he's only done one time. Last year, he only had 10. And 65 catches. He's only done it once. Last year, he had 57. So one of the numbers he was slightly over. Two of the numbers he was slightly under in terms of what they are having him try to hit for that extra $1 million.
And that's the thing. Like, when you come in and you're the best player on the team, a lot of the time you're a decoy. So those 10 touchdowns, they're not 16 or 17, because once you get on that goal line, if you're a good coach and all eyes are on you and you got 8 in the box trying to stop you and you have a dual threat quarterback like Daniel Jones, you're going to do a lot of RPO stuff where, hey, we're acting like we're going to give it to Saquon, and then Daniel Jones, who has really good feet, he'll be able to get in the end zone, and that's why his stats have looked better year after year. So I get why, all these running backs who know they're the best players on offense, like a Josh Jacobs, Derrick Henry, Saquon Barkley, why they're frustrated that, man, I'm not getting paid like the best player on the team. And we heard Nick Chubb say it when we played his little snippet yesterday, like, hey, the better you do, the less value you are because you're beat up. And they don't trust that. And we know the stats on when you turn 27, you decline. And that's just what it is. So running back, it's brutal right now. And, we'll see what happens with everybody else. Josh Jacobs, is he going to sit out, or is he going to realize? Because that's not the same situation.
No.
Like, at all. Like, the Giants, I think they could get better this year, even with the success that they had this past season going to the playoffs and stuff. And I got the Raiders picked last in the AFC West.
Yeah, they're going to have a tough road.
Like, how can you not?
Especially if Denver gets even a little better.
Right.
They're really going to have a tough one. That's a good point. And like Zay said, a little later on at 1 o'clock, we'll dig into the NFC East and AFC East. We thought they'd be good to put together, not just because they both have East in there, but there's a lot of big-time names and teams, and they play each other this year. So the Cowboys division plays Aaron Rodgers' division this year, not to mention Buffalo and New England and all the rest. So we'll get into that breakdown. So Saquon Barkley signs, and it's $11 million for this year. Now, on the high side of the money, there's another deal that was signed. Parents, I want you to listen to us really quickly. Uncle Chad and Uncle Zay have a message for you. If you think your kid is a multifaceted athlete and you're thinking to yourself, should I push him towards football, basketball, or baseball? The answer is one of the second two I said. The answer for the financial part of it, if you're thinking long-term finances and durability and how to not have him beaten up as much.
You saw what's the France dude's name? with the money that the Saudis are trying to throw him.
Oh, Mbappe. Or soccer.
Yeah.
Right? Or soccer. Okay. But of those three main dogs we deal with, if they can hit the jump shot and they can hit the curveball, I might lean them that way because the key word is guaranteed. All the money, every penny is guaranteed, which brings us to Jaylen Brown of the Celtics. We told you because of an all-NBA team nod, he got slotted up to where he could get the Supermax. He signed the Supermax. 5 years, $304 million. That is the richest contract in the history of the NBA, surpassing what Jokic had. And Zay, he gets every single solitary dime of that money.
Yeah, and it's just pretty ridiculous, but salute to Jaylen Brown. Get as much as you can at the end of the day. I mean, his great-great-great-grandkids are set for life.
Oh.
Like, that's the type of stuff that he's on right now, and it's hard for me to even just process somebody that, yes, he's a good player, but he's not top 10 in the league.
See, I was going to ask that exact question. If I told you and just said, give me the best players in the NBA right now, how far before you say Jaylen Brown? 15? 20?
Maybe. That.
Top 20. Is he top 20?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, he's top 20.
And he just signed that Supermax. By the way, Jason Tatum is up for this very thing next summer.
And again, he's their best player. So if you're Jason Tatum, you're like, I better be making more than him. But
Tatum's looking like 350 for me, right? You got three?
How's everyone else gonna get paid? That's what I'm saying.
It's gonna be them. They're gonna have to play some 2-on-5. I think we understand that, right? They're going to have to play. There's a famous game years ago where Rick Barnes was coaching at Clemson against North Carolina, and so many guys had fouled out, and he didn't have some guys available. He literally turned to the official and gave him the line from, is it Hoosiers? My team's on the court. He had to do that. He had to play 4-on-5.
Wow.
At one point. And they said to go into a weird zone that he thought up.
Okay, so I got a list right here of who Jaylen Brown isn't better than.
Okay.
Nikola Jokic, he ain't better than him. He ain't better than Steph Curry. He ain't better than Giannis.
Yeah.
He ain't better than Kevin Durant. He ain't better than Joel Embiid. He ain't better than his teammate Jason Tatum. He ain't better than Luka. He ain't better than, I'll take him over Kawhi just because Kawhi's not durable.
Now you're at 8.
He ain't better than Jimmy Butler.
9.
I don't think I'll take Book over him.
10.
Barely, though. LeBron, yes.
Yep.
SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. I'll take SGA.
You're at 12. Go ahead. All right, you're at 12. 12 to 15 then?
Yeah, I'm looking at. I'll take him over Ja because Ja be playing with guns.
So that's 13? You're at 13 right there. You said you'd take Jaylen Brown.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd barely take him over Donovan Mitchell. I don't know if I'll take him over Dame, but Dame's 33. That's why.
So we're talking about top 15. Let's be nice to him and say top 15 kind of talent just got all-time number one money. That is amazing.
This dude struggles with his left hand, man. You could find like a 10-minute compilation of Jaylen Brown struggling to dribble with his left hand, getting ripped in the playoffs and stuff. Like, it's just crazy. It's crazy where the Dream Team and Michael Jordan have taken the NBA, and now here we are, and guys are making over $300 million.
Okay, so let me give a comparison, and you just mentioned Jordan. I think this is a great way to compare it for people who didn't grow up when I did. At the end of Michael's career, they were trying to pack things in, and he had deferred money to have guys. Michael Jordan made $36 million for the last season he played in Chicago, and I remember the mind-boggling idea of that. Michael's making what? But of course, the argument then immediately came back. Think of all he's given them. Think of all that he helps them, the money he creates, all that stuff, the Nike deals and everything. So Michael made 36 in that last year. Jaylen Brown, when this kicks in 24-25, will make 52.3 for that season. And Zay, for the 28-29 season, the last one of this deal, he'll make $69.1 million.
Good grief.
Just think about that for a second. 69.1. That is $25 million more than Patrick Mahomes will make this year, if I've got my numbers right in my head. About that. About $25 million difference in a yearly salary to play basketball versus playing football. Again, parents, if your kid can hit the mid-range jumper, if your kid can hit the free throw, or if your kid can hit the curveball, or maybe can throw the curveball. Whew.
Yeah.
I'd lean him that way.
And it's going to be interesting what Jaylen Brown we see these next few years, because they always say, hey, oh, it's his contract year. This is why he's going crazy. A lot of guys get lazy once they get the money. They don't have that same drive. They're not showing up to the gym. They're not doing the things that got them that money. Or is he going to flip it because he knows all the pressure is on him and say, oh, I got to prove that I'm the highest paid player in the league. I'm not leaving the gym. I'm working on my left hand. I'm going for MVP. Me and Jason Tatum, people are going to have to argue who's the best player. I got to prove to everybody that's questioning, do I deserve this? Wrong.
That's the J.J. Watt theory. That's what J.J. said when he got a ton of money. He said, now I got to go prove that I'm worth this. Human nature would tell, 98, 99% of us would not think that way.
Right?
How in the world could you have an edge? Right? How could your edge not go away? I'm going to make how much?
Yeah.
52 in a year? Good Lord. Hey, you want to go shoot some free throws? No, not really.
Yeah. All the money Michael Jordan made, he retired 3 times, Chad.
Right.
From being worn out, for not having that same drive due to multiple things that happened in his life. But that one of the greatest guys of all time when it comes to being a competitor retired 3 times because all those occasions, the last one obviously he didn't have anything left, but those first 2, he was just exhausted. And again, you're absolutely right. Like, how do you continue to find motivation? Like, that's when you got to start going in dark places and just picking up petty grudges and fights and stuff. Oh yeah, Trae Young called me a bitch, or something like that. Like, that's where you going to.
Right.
Like,
exactly.
it gets real dark to where you're making up stuff just to find something. Like, anything that you can make up to give you anything. Like, as a coach, if I'm Missoula, I'd be like, yo, man, Jaylen, you heard what they were saying? These coaches around, I've been talking to coaches, these coaches don't think you deserve the money. They don't think you're that good. They think we should have traded you. This and that, just to push his buttons. And hopefully he says, all right, I'm going to prove them wrong.
Yeah, the only guy to me that had the mentality to pull it off is gone, sadly, and it's Kobe. Kobe had that mentality where even though he's getting helicoptered to practice and stuff like that, he still felt like he had an edge.
Yes.
Right up until that, up until he died. But the last game he ever played, you could feel that edge on him somehow. So Jaylen Brown, congratulations, $304 million. Somebody texted in what we were talking about. This means they have to do the same with Jason Tatum. How do you build depth around that? Yeah, they're going to just pray that the luxury tax number goes to, like, I don't know, $1 billion or something.
It's crazy.
To help them out.
Somebody asked what are my thoughts on the Celtics going forward. As long as you have Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum, you're going to be in contention to go to the finals every year or get to the Eastern Conference Finals. You just got to keep building around those guys. The Celtics got pretty screwed with Malcolm Brogdon and his play. Yes, he was hurt in the playoffs, but he was a 6th man of the year. They were dependent on him a lot more than what he gave them. And then obviously those Miami Heat guys, Gabe Vincent, who's now with the Lakers, Strus, who's now in Cleveland, all those guys were huge and hit big threes. Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, obviously. But yeah, as long as Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are on that squad, both of those guys, top 15 players in the league, they're always going to be in contention to compete.
All right, so those 2 big deals we wanted to get out there. Also, speaking of deals, a lot of folks talking about an Arch Manning deal. We'll tell you why coming up. Plus, why are they worried in Ann Arbor? Followed by why aren't they worried in Ann Arbor? We will tell you on the Horn. I feel like I should know this. Okay, is this song called Don't Be Cruel?
Yes.
So is this BBD?
BB.
Belle Biv DeVoe?
Oh, man.
No?
That's
No, my bad. This is Bobby Brown.
There we go.
Bobby Brown.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, that was low-key insulting, but
Yeah,
also
kind of.
you were close enough. I give you respect.
I was in his
Yeah.
neighborhood, right? Literally, I was in the neighborhood. That's what it was. This is like a double song. This isn't obviously a cover of like Elvis's Don't Be Cruel, because you played that yesterday with Cheap Trick. This is just a song named Don't Be Cruel. This is a big hit for him, too.
Oh, man. This album was huge.
This is the album My Prerogative and all
Yeah,
that on it.
uh-huh.
He's wearing those pants and never wearing a shirt, and
Oh, yeah.
women were passing
Yeah,
out
he
in
would
the
wear
aisles.
the blazer with no shirt underneath. And you know the blazer would come off by the end of the show. And he would bring women on stage and dry hump them and stuff. And it was okay since it was 88.
He was dry humping the stage.
Oh, yeah. Bring a bed out on the stage
Oh
and
my
stuff.
God, the stuff he did to those beds back in the day was like, whoa, Bobby, what are you doing? All right, who was it? You who was telling me
Yes.
that their mother wouldn't let him go see Bobby Brown because of what he did with the
No.
bed?
My mom took my sisters and her friends.
That's what it was.
To see Bobby, and he brought out the bed. And that's why my parents never took me to concerts. Because they
Oh.
learned very early it's risky.
Bobby Brown ruined it. See, we had parents in our town that heard that Motley Crue killed chickens on stage, and that made them not want to go, their kids couldn't go to any shows. That was just them hearing conjecture. At least your parents had pardon that expression. Sorry. Your parents had the evidence, right? They had the evidence of what it was going to be. I don't want to see him up there doing that to the bed.
Yeah.
Bobby Brown getting us started. How do you think Bobby Brown's doing today?
I hope he's all right. You
So-
know, he's been through a lot.
Hey, sometimes we've been accused of talking too much substances on this show when we get into music, but here's another one for the kids. Kids, go look up interviews with Bobby Brown over the years, and then ask yourself, can certain drugs change the way my face looks and maybe even change the way my jaw works?
Oh, yeah.
Go look at Bobby Brown, and because for them it was it meth he got into? Really hard?
Dang, I didn't know he went that deep. I thought it was just a little, snort.
I don't know if it was crystal meth or whatever it was. He got into
Wow.
something, and dude, I'm telling you, his jaw changed.
Yo, him and Whitney, they were on one.
It's like part of his head was his age, and part of his head was 65 years
Yeah.
old all of a sudden. It was weird.
I always come to Bobby's defense. Like, love Whitney. She's a legend in her own right, R.I.P. But everybody blames him for her demise.
Yeah, it's a lot more complex
It's
than that.
very complex.
Go watch that documentary if y'all haven't seen it.
Yeah.
That two and a half hour documentary on that last tour they had, and they finally released the videos years and years later. It'll really open your eyes to some stuff.
And we've seen biopics on both Bobby Brown and Whitney Houston separately. I want to see one on Whitney's homegirl.
Oh, right.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, because I don't know where she is. I don't know if she's alive or not. But
Yeah.
yeah, during the time where obviously people would have looked the other or not looked the other way.
Oh,
excuse
yeah.
me. They would have been
Would have ruined a career.
ruined their career.
Yeah.
Absolutely, if that would have came out and stuff. And wow, yeah, very complex that relationship.
No doubt. No doubt. And there's no other show in the world that could get that much conversation out of a Bobby Brown song. So there you go. Not even Bobby Brown's people would do that. Bobby Brown starting us today. We'll get into, in the crap bag today, I'm going to break down some NFL throwbacks and alternate uniforms for you because I saw one today that is so stupid. We must discuss it. I don't know why this team keeps making the same mistake, but they have. So we'll discuss that. Plus, I'll tell you some of the good and bad that I've seen in the last few weeks as the NFL continues to throw these unis out. All right, let's talk about one of your quarterbacks, Zay. It's not the quarterback that's going to start, presumably, in 23. It's not even the guy who's going to back him up, but it is the biggest name in that room. It is Arch Manning. If you're wondering why everybody's talking Arch Manning today, it's because Arch technically has his first NIL deal. Now, if you remember, the family, I can't remember if it was Cooper or Archie or whoever it was that.
Yeah, I thought it was Grandpa.
Yeah, maybe Grandpa let it out that they had come to an agreement at one point that they didn't want him to do NIL until he was playing.
Then he got on campus and started asking for money from home, and they're like, okay, you can make your own money. We know how much you're worth. Maybe we should alter this a little bit.
That might have been it. So what he's done is he has become a Panini America exclusive athlete. And if you don't know what this is, I'm not talking about sandwiches. Panini America is a company that deals with name, image, and likeness when it comes to autographs. So he has now become exclusive to them, where that's where his autograph will be. By the way, Quinn Ewers is the same thing, a Panini America guy. So they've partnered up, and their first project is a one-of-one card, an autograph card, and the proceeds, all the proceeds from this card will go to St. David's Healthcare and St. David's Foundation in Austin. Arch says, among other things, working with Panini to have my first trading card benefit the larger community is special. Helping children live healthy and fulfilling lives is something that has always been important to my family. So I heard the guys talking about it on Light the Tower. And Zay, I don't know that we obviously don't know the specific deal. Does this mean Arch has already gotten some NIL money? I don't know. Are they just setting it up for later? But I do love this idea that you can use it to raise all these proceeds. I think at the end of Light the Tower, the guy said it was up over 30,000 the bid.
Ooh.
It was at 10, then it was at 12, and I think it's now jumped to like 30. There's still 4 days left. If you bid and you win it, not only you get to meet Arch, you get to, I think, throw the ball with him. You get to have a meal with him, and I think you get to be there for like the presentation of the check to St. David's.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I mean, it being that hefty, I would kind of want Peyton and Eli to fly in so I could meet them, maybe get some autographs or something like that, and then, probably sell those to get some of this money back. I'm trying to be a businessman about it. But, everything, Arch Manning, capitalize on your name, dog. That's what this is all about.
Might be a little rude to look over his shoulder looking for uncles. That's probably,
How's that rude?
that might be a little rude. I mean,
To who?
there for Arch. To Arch. If you're only looking for Peyton and Eli.
The reason why it's this much money is a big reason because of Peyton and Eli. You serious?
What?
The name, the last name. Not we say Arch, yes, for obvious reasons. The Manning name is the reason why this is that high. Yes, he's a very good player, but we're talking about a guy that might be third string QB this year.
I got that part. I'm just saying I might not make the first question, yo, where's your uncle? You know what I'm saying? When you meet him.
First question,
Right.
maybe the third
It's in
or
there.
fourth.
I love this, and I love the fact I heard the guys talking about different guys signing over the years. This is a part of it to me that is so cut and dry. There's such a good cut and dryness to this, a black and whiteness to this, that it should be above the table. And for years and years, and there's probably guys out there right now, former players driving around listening to the show. They're thinking right now of how much stuff they signed and never got paid for it.
Right.
Tons of stuff gets signed over the years. And don't just tell me it was when they became a pro, because y'all aren't that naive. Y'all know there was stuff out there getting signed. And they'd sit guys down, Ricky Williams, Major Applewhite, Earl Campbell, whoever you want to talk about. And I'm sure they sat them in front of all these helmets and they signed and they signed and they signed. And for some reason, when NFL guys did it, they got paid.
Yep.
But when you made the college guys do it, they just were doing it out of the goodness of their heart, or they worked something under the table and figured it out that way. Now everything is out in the open, and Quinn Ewers and Arch Manning are a part of this group. And the autograph thing is obviously huge. And now he will get, and maybe he doesn't even get he won't get a cut of this one. All proceeds go into this deal, but he's established the relationship, Zay, which is big. So now the collector people know when Arch Manning is ready to go full blast on autograph stuff, Panini's going to run the whole thing, and they know where to go, and then Arch can make a lot of money.
Yeah, and I respect Arch, too. If you've seen the video, it looks like he just got out of bed and said, yo, do this video for us. It's for a good cause. It's going to benefit everybody that's a part of it. And I like that. I don't need, with watching quarterback with Kirk Cousins on Netflix and stuff like that, I don't need you to be iced out and, worried about Cam Newton stuff. I'm good with just, I care about football. I don't care about my looks. I'll do this NIL stuff, but at the end of the day, I want to get better on the field. I respect that.
Sure, be who you are.
Be who you are.
That's all I care about. Kirk Cousins doesn't need to be wearing Cam Newton's hats. Just like Cam Newton, if that's who he is, wear the hat, dude. I don't care. Cut the hole in the top, pull your hair up through it. I think it looks weird, but if that's you, go. Do what you do.
It's a lot.
That's a lot. Yeah,
it's a lot. I get it. Do what you do, be you. But as a quarterback, kind of like your backwards hat take, I don't need all the flash. I really don't. I
Yeah.
could do without that. Like, you could look fly and also look classy at the same time. Cam Newton at times, and we've heard him talk and stuff like that throughout the years. Now, he's definitely more humble than what he was at one point of his career, but there were times where it was just like, look at me. We remember what happened after the Super Bowl.
Oh,
Where
yeah.
that was, he didn't go about that the right way. So, yeah, there's a lot of things you could do without, but I appreciate man, I'm just getting out of bed. I'm gonna go brush my teeth, wash my face, my hair, whatever.
Yeah.
Let's do what I got to do for business, and let's get back on the field so I can work on my game.
Yeah, best of luck to them raising as much money as they can. Our man CB lets us know the bid is currently at $30,100.
CB, did he also say that they're bootlegging it already?
Oh, they're saying that the people are getting on him about the signature, saying he has a
Oh.
weird signature or whatever.
Oh, come on, man.
People are going to find something. They'll find something to get on.
He can work on that.
He can. He can work on that signature. I think it's a really cool deal. So good for him, and hopefully they do raise a lot of money there. Also, the other quick college football story, if you didn't see it, there's multiple reports that Jim Harbaugh at Michigan is going to have to serve a suspension for, if you don't remember this story, it's NCAA violations, recruiting violations. I think it goes back to COVID, where they had all the different rules, and they broke some rules, and Harbaugh lied to the investigators. So big shock. Jim Harbaugh was weird talking to someone. That didn't shock me at all when I heard that story. I thought, oh, well, of course he did. So he was a little strange, and they didn't think he was truthful. So here's how they're going to punish him, apparently, with a 4-game suspension. Zay, would you like to read the first 4 games of their schedule to the people, or would you like me to do it?
You got it. I can't even believe it.
The Michigan Wolverines will be hosting East Carolina, UNLV, Bowling Green, and Rutgers.
Well done, NCAA.
Not even a roadie, not even one road game. Big house, all 4. They don't play Penn State, Michigan State, or Ohio State until October 21st or later. Well done. Well read, NCAA. Well played.
Yeah, and he don't care, and nobody at Michigan cares because he beat that team the last 2 years that he struggled with ever since he got to Michigan. When you beat Ohio State twice, you can get away with a lot of stuff. So I think the people in Ann Arbor, they could care less. And the talent that they have up there, the talent that he's built, and, McCarthy, I think he's going to have a terrific year. And they were right there beating TCU, a couple plays away on getting to the national championship, where a lot of people think it would have been way more competitive than that 65-7 route that Georgia put on the Horned Frogs. So, this means nothing. They're going to go 4-0. He'll come back, and they'll probably go undefeated until that Ohio State game like they usually do.
Yeah, Zay, if you and I were the coaches at Michigan, we'd beat Rutgers. They went to Rutgers and won 52-17 last year.
Fun. That's fun.
Now, it was 20-13 the year before then, so I'll give them that. They were a little bit close, but they usually handle Rutgers. So that is the Jim Harbaugh story. Not a lot to get into there. So minor infractions, if you will, and it is a minor kind of penalty with those first 4 games. So one of the assistants will coach him for those first 4. So a lot of college football out there. We got pro football to discuss as we've gotten into the Saquon Barkley signing. We still need to get into the Dallas Cowboys. Later on, we're going to try to check in at Cowboys camp. They'll open it officially tomorrow. Haley Sutton, host and reporter for the Cowboys, who we've had on. We'll try to catch up with her at 2:05. And we got to talk about this Zach Martin story. Cowboy fans, do you realize he didn't even get on the plane? He is not with them in Oxnard. He is planning a holdout, so we do need to get into that story. We'll also get into more of the NFC East and AFC East at 1:05. They play each other, and the Cowboys and Aaron Rodgers get together early this season. Up next, though, let's talk crap bag. Alternate and throwback NFL looks, the good and the bad, including a team in the AFC that just can't stop doing the wrong thing. Next on The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, yes, indeed. Duran Duran. And A View to a Kill?
That's right.
Yeah, James Bond song. Nothing wrong with that. Duran Duran, Bobby Brown. I think the Duran Duran show already went through town with Nile Rodgers and Chic opening up. I saw that show the last time they came through. Great show. I was really impressed with Duran Duran live. That was cool to see. All right, so Duran Duran and Bobby Brown getting us started today. I don't think Bobby's out on tour, but hey, a lot of people are, so maybe he'll get back out there at some point. Chad and Zay with you on this Tuesday. Real quick, we'll dig more into the Cowboys story, but again, Zach Martin did not go with the Cowboys to Oxnard. He is looking for more money. He's about $7 million away from a guy like Quentin Nelson. And I didn't realize this, Zay. The Cowboys have reworked his deal 5 straight years. In March, they restructured the contract for the 5th straight year to create cap space. They turned $12 million of his $13.5 million base salary into a signing bonus. He signed through 24, and as a result of the restructuring, his cap figure next year is $23 million plus. So Cowboys have to figure that out. They're also trying to work out things with Trayvon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, and Terrence Steele, according to the story I'm looking at here from ESPN. So keep that in mind as we get ready to talk NFC East with the Cowboys and AFC East with Buffalo and the Jets with Rodgers and, of course, the Patriots and whatever that Miami Dolphins team is going to be as well. All right, speaking of the NFL, let's get into some alternate uniforms in the crap bag. I'll tell you who's doing well and who's screwing up.
Chad's crap bag.
Crap bag. If you need an easy way to remember it, just think of a bag of crap.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. I don't know why these NFL teams do not just call me to be their quality control guy on the uniform. Maybe that should be my next job. Maybe that's what I should be doing, looking into the uniforms. All right, so let's go to the 2 teams Peyton Manning played for, because apparently they're the ones screwing up, in my mind, the most. We'll start with Denver. Zay, did you see the Denver thing yet and what they're about to do?
Yeah.
Oh, dear Lord. They call it the snow-capped alternate helmet. They're going to wear a white helmet with the old D sticker on it.
Yeah.
Okay, Denver. Look, they finally changed this rule after 8 years. They changed the one shell color rule. So for the love of Steve Atwater, wear the helmet the right way. Wear that shade of blue with that D. It's not difficult. Elway, Mecklenburg, Ricky Nattiel, what was the Spider's name? The guy, Sammy Winder. Pick any guy you want of that era and wear that helmet. Zay, I do not understand why the Broncos can't figure out how to pay tribute to a team. I understand in those uniforms that did not win the Super Bowl. I get that. But they went to the Super Bowl over and over. They had some badass teams. That's the team that orchestrated the drive in those uniforms. Again, Atwater made that hit on Okoye in those uniforms. Pay respect and do it the right way. I don't understand them.
Yeah, that blue helmet is iconic, so I don't know why they wouldn't go to that. It really makes no sense. I mean, they're just trying too hard.
Yeah, and did you see what they're going to do with the jersey and the pants along with the white helmet? Let's get even worse. Orange on orange.
Yeah.
Orange on orange with the white hat looks awful. Let's go to the other team Peyton Manning played for, the Colts. Have you seen these black helmets they're going to wear?
Yeah,
Look,
we talked about it, me and Keenan Womack.
So normally the black helmet is a cool idea, but with the Colts, it's going to make them look headless, especially when you go blue on blue, and then you don't have enough white in there. You're the Colts. If you don't know you need to embrace white in your uniform, then I can't help you. It'd be like the Texas Longhorns walking out on a field with no white on their uniforms, or taking it away to the point where we all went, wait a minute, where's the white? Colts, here's what you should have tried. A black helmet with a white horseshoe, and how about a white face mask on a black helmet? That's weird and outside the box, but it also might have worked a little better than what you just did. As far as the others that have been announced, I'll roll through it. Zay, you know I'm a Bucks guy, so I'm going to tell you that the Creamsicles are awesome. And again, they'll throw back that whole stadium. It's going to be awesome when they do it for a home game. Y'all will love it. Patriots and the Minutemen, well done. They'll make it look classy. That is great. We talked about the Oilers thing. Tennessee should never wear that. I don't know why they're doing it. The Jets, I think, are screwing up slightly. They're going with the old Jets on the side, the Ken O'Briens, the Mark Gastineaus, the Freeman McNeils, but they're going to go with the glossy green, the shiny green they wear now. Don't do that. That's what Denver does. Denver just takes the sticker and puts it on there. Don't do that. Go with the flatter green. That's a better idea. If you're going to do it and throw back all the way, like Seattle is doing. Bravo to Seattle. They're going to pull out the Jim Zorns and the Steve Largents, and they're going to look really cool doing it. I might bring that Seahawk up a little further on the side of the helmet. They've made that stripe a little shorter than I want it to be, but that's a technical thing. They'll look great. The Browns are going to look stupid in those white helmets. I don't know what they're doing. You're the Cleveland Browns.
So they look like Texas.
That helmet,
It gives me like a University of Texas vibe.
It's not their signature. Your signature is that color helmet. Wear the orange helmet. I'll even let you put something on it if you want to. I think that would be a better idea than this.
See, as a Texas fan, I think that's why I like it.
You like it because it's a clean white.
Because it's a clean
white look. Yeah. And it doesn't make sense for them to me.
But you're right. Like, I mean, the Browns, I have no relationship with them ever. Like, you definitely do with your wife being an AFC North fan.
Yeah, she's trained to hate them.
Yeah. So you see that jersey a lot more than I do. But yeah, you're right. That orange, you got to keep the orange.
It's just kind of, that is weird. The Vikings are going to go back to, let's say, the Tommy Kramers, if you're back in that era and remember Tommy, Anthony Carter and those guys, Chris Dolman. So I like that. That's going to be a good, solid, old school look where they go back to the more two-dimensional Viking horn on the side. I think that's going to look good. And they just need to make sure, the thing they may screw up on is they may not get the right purple on the helmet. They got to flatten that look out. I think the Dolphins may go back, and they've been throwing back nicely lately, going with the Dolphin with the tail down, the old school Bob Greasy look. And I hate to admit it, Zay, but I think another team that's about to nail this throwback idea is the Eagles. I think they're going to crush this because they're going to hit those Jaworskis, the Harold Carmichaels.
With like the lighter green.
Yes, they're going to go with that light green, that flat light green with the old school wing on it.
I don't know why they went to the darker green. That always makes no sense to me. A lot of teams do that. Patriots did that. A lot of teams go to the darker color and get away from what they were rocking, in the 90s and 80s.
Yeah, they're going to go kind of to the Herm Edwards, what Herm Edwards wore when he was an Eagle. I think that's actually going to look really, really sharp. So some teams are doing a good job. I think some teams are just kind of outthinking themselves, and I'll put the Colts and the Broncos in that category. I never rooted for those Broncos. I never rooted for those Elway teams for some reason. They just didn't do it for me. But that uni is iconic.
Yeah.
It's so iconic, and you've got to get it right. It's like if Washington would ever allow themselves to throw back to the Redskin days, which they won't do for the kind of social reasons and stuff. But if they ever did, they'd have to get it right. I hated them. I'm a Cowboys fan, but they always look pretty sharp. And you got to get those. You got to get those looks right. Can't wait for this season in the NFL where people can now do the full throwback and everybody gets those right. So to the Denvers, to the New York teams that seem to be a little lazy with it, you got to fully commit to your idea. Just fully commit when you throw back. Don't just throw back a little bit. Throw all the way back. Do what the Bucks are doing. Do what the Seahawks are doing. Do what the Patriots are doing. Let us all have those memories of going back. Oh, when Atlanta busts out that red helmet.
Yeah.
Whoo! I get
Sharp.
it. When I watch the quarterback doc and seeing Mariota in that red helmet from last year, just gets me excited. The Bartkowski helmet from back in the day. God, I love that. Gerald Riggs and all those guys that wore it. All right, so Tommy Nobis would have worn that helmet. The great Texas legend.
Absolutely.
When he became a Falcon, he would have been wearing that red hat back in the day. All right, there's your crap bag. Just kind of cleaning out some things on these uniforms. We'll see how it looks in 2023. A lot of good college and pro unis that are out there. Heck, we've been telling you about high school helmets that are being unveiled in this area. It is awesome. Speaking of the NFL, let's go to the East coming up. NFC East with the Cowboys and the rest. And, of course, the NFC champions in that division, plus the AFC East. The champs didn't come out of that division, but there are definitely a couple of teams and stories to keep an eye on. We'll break all that down coming up. In your flex segment at 1:30, we'll talk about the special teams guys, including some dangerous return men in the area that make the all-flex watch list. Don't move. This is The Horn. All right, let's talk a little sinus and snoring specialist. Last night I had one of those situations where I was up later than I thought I would be. I ended up in a long phone conversation. It was a great conversation, but then when I got done, I realized, oh my God, it's already that time. So I got less sleep than I wanted, but I still get great sleep because of sinus and snoring specialists. Dr. Slaughter and his crew do incredible work over there with ear, nose, and throat. I was all blocked up in my nasal passages. That was one of my big issues, 85% blocked. And he was able to show me that when I first went over there with a device that he helped develop. So when I say cutting edge, that's what I'm talking about. And he's got surgical and non-surgical options that others just don't have because he is double board certified in ear, nose, and throat. So there's just so much cool stuff they've got going on over there. The sleep test that they send you home with, that thing is awesome. Take it home, you sleep in your own bed, and then they use the data to figure out exactly what's going on with you. They stay with you through that process. It's not just, we're just going to do this and that'll be it. No, they keep monitoring that. I took the sleep test a couple different times to make sure everything was working the right way. I just love the way I was treated. You will too, and Dr. Slaughter does pride himself on meeting you in that first consultation. So call and set up your appointment today, 512-601-0303, or go to sinussnoringent.com. It's sinus and snoring specialists. Feel clear, rested, and healthy. All right, let's go hour number 2 on a Tuesday. Just let that Curtis Mayfield wash over you. It is another hot, hot day. Maybe get some air conditioning washing over you or cold water or something like that. Hit the pool if you got access to one of those. It's Chad and Zay on a Tuesday. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. Let's clear up a couple things before we move on to some NFL talk. First off, Zay, I am rewatching for motivation your dunk video.
Yeah, you see Mike Harge hating?
From earlier in the show. I've not seen Mike Harge's hatred. I am not surprised by Mike Harge's hatred because the two of you have a special relationship that involves a lot of smack talk. But I did not give you full credit earlier. I gave you credit for the powerful Charles Barkley-like dunk. What I did not give you enough credit for was the hang and the twist.
Oh, yeah.
There's a little hang and a twist. I'm not going to say Sean Kemp in his prime, but there was a little hang and a twist and a to it that I thought was nice.
Yeah, I'll take Sean Kemp, Cleveland. I'll take that.
Maybe that Sean Kemp.
Where he gained at least 80 pounds or so and
just
still had a little bit of athleticism.
Right.
Just made an all-star team, but he wasn't that same Rain Man that we knew and loved.
Just without the kids, though.
Yes.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Without the kids.
Yeah. Wow, Sean.
He's ended up with, is it 11, 10, 11, somewhere up in there? Sean's got a lot of kids.
Oh, he got a full roster.
A lot. He does. He has a full roster, like a football team kind of roster is where he's headed. So I wanted to get that cleared up. Plus, how about this, Zay? Before we get to NFL, we're going to play a quick game of Are You Insulted as a Texas fan? Someone brought this detail up, and bravo to you, Texter, for asking the question. They are going from the Arch Manning story today about the NIL. Here is the paragraph as it's printed in the ESPN story by Tom Van Haren, ESPN staff writer. Quote, Manning is a nephew of Peyton and Eli, grandson of Archie and son of Cooper Manning. He was a highly touted high school recruit, ranked number 5 overall in the 2023 class, and signed with Texas over some of the biggest programs in the country. Does that insult you as a Texas fan at all?
Absolutely, but I understand it.
Okay. You get the message they're sending there.
Yes. How many titles has Alabama and Georgia won? Those were his 2 other options in the last decade.
Throw in Ohio State.
Yeah.
Throw in Clemson.
Exactly.
That's who I think they're referencing there. And again, the word biggest is carrying all the weight of that sentence, but I think we all know what they mean. Didn't say biggest brand, didn't say bigger brand. Mm-hmm. That would be a silly thing to type. But biggest programs right now, I think we can all understand there's that group of 4 I just named that we just named, and maybe you throw a couple others in before you would get to Texas just based on the field success.
Yeah, and one big reason that Arch came to Texas was to build his own legacy and to put Texas or help put Texas back on the map to where it once was when Colt and Vince Young were taking snaps. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm with it. And you got the resources here in Texas like you do in Georgia and Alabama. So he could accomplish everything that he wants to accomplish. And yeah, take a little offense to that, but that specs Texter, a lot of that's very true.
Yeah, it's interesting. I had not caught that exact wording, but I guess, yeah, I get it. I get the point that they're trying to make there. I don't think it's that far off of where reality is right now. All right, let's talk about the reality in the East of the NFL. NFC and AFC East. The first thing we will tell you is they play each other. So Cowboys, Eagles, and the others will play the Bills, the Dolphins, and the others this year. So get ready for that. Also, if you're an NFC East fan, I'm a Cowboys fan, many of you are as well. The other division you got to deal with, NFC West, the whole thing.
Ooh.
So Niners, Cardinals, the whole group.
Seahawks.
Niners and Seahawks will stand out there. Who knows about the Rams? And then obviously you got to deal with Arizona. And then on the other side of things, if you are a fan of any of these AFC East teams, they have to play the AFC West. So Aaron Rodgers and that division, not only do they have to deal with the Cowboys and Eagles, they have to play the Eagles and the Chiefs. Let's just stop there. Both Super Bowl teams, you have to deal with them you may have to deal with both of them, rather, if you are in that AFC East, because you're going to have to play the whole AFC West. So that's big. Buffalo, Miami, New England, the Jets, they all have to play Kansas City.
Yeah, and that's going to be difficult. The Jets being 7-10 last year, they had one of the top defenses, and they were still competitive, even though they lost 10 games. They were very competitive, which you mentioned yesterday, one of the worst quarterback situations in the National Football League, going back and forth from Flacco to Zach Wilson to what was the other dude's name that they kind of settled in with?
Oh, didn't they the cat that was with Dallas for a while, right? White, was it Mike White that they had there?
That sounds right, but that kind of makes my point here. If I can't recognize his name right now, that shows that they didn't have much of nothing going on up there in New York. So now you've got Aaron Rodgers in the mix, and that just gives everybody a sense of hope. Like everybody in the facility that was on the team last year, when Aaron Rodgers walks in that building, this is a 4-time MVP, and say what you want about him, all the crazy drug stuff and his relationships with celebrity women like Danica Patrick and whatnot, and him being disgruntled with Mike McCarthy. Like, this is one of the top guys to ever throw the football. So I think he's embracing everything coming into a new situation. We saw the Sauce Gardner clip where he's giving them the chain and stuff. So he's winning over the locker room. We see,
which he's not known for.
He's not known for that. Exactly. That's a great point. He ain't known, like, he's one of those guys. He does his own thing, and it's my way or the highway. Like you saw last year, how upset he was for all those young wide receivers dropping passes and whatnot, and he made it known to the press, like, yo, we catch the ball, we be in a different situation. Like, he will throw you under the bus, and I don't think he's gonna do that here. I really
would hope not. Not with that media, man.
Yeah,
don't let them help you destroy yourself.
Exactly. In a way, he can't. So I think it's going to be a work in progress at the beginning, but yeah, once him and Garrett Wilson, which they're going to be one of the best 1-2 punches in the league, you already see all the highlights that he has just from training camp. They're going to be a force to be reckoned with, and it's going to be exciting to watch.
So here's something to keep in mind with the Jets, and remember, in the NFL now 17 games, right? The way they find that extra game is they do another game based on how you finished in your division. The Jets were terrible last year in their division, dead last. So they get a last place schedule overall, which means they play Houston, they play at Cleveland, and they play Atlanta. Now, I know you're going to be a Falcons fan this year.
Yep.
But that's an advantageous situation. And if I'm not mistaken, they also have 2 of those like back-to-back. You talk about games the Jets have to win. And if I'm not mistaken, they play Houston and Atlanta at home back-to-back like in October or November. So they get to bring them to the cold, outside, 2 Southern teams that both play in a dome. You have to win those 2 games, no questions asked. I just skimmed through their schedule today. I can see the Jets around 10 games if it all goes well. I can see like a 10-7 kind of team. If you just stay conservative with your wins and losses with them, I can get them to 10 wins.
I think they're going to be battling with Buffalo to win the division, but I'm around there too. It's so up and down with the Dolphins right now because Tua has never played over 14 games in the season. Now, I know he has this new helmet to help with his concussion situation, but at the end of the day, he's going to get hit. We know that's going to happen for a fact. And will he be able to continuously get up? Like that hit that you take in week 3 is very different than that hit that you take in week 15 because your body's all beaten up and stuff. How much is he willing to, give for those guys? But when you add guys like Jalen Ramsey and on the other side, you got Xavier Howard, who that makes them one of the top cornerback duos in the league. We know what Tyreek Hill is. We know what
second year of Tyreek Hill, right?
Yeah.
Second year in the program, second year with the team.
He talking about going over 2,000 this year. So you ain't going to do that if Tua's not your quarterback for the course of the year. And they're a scary team, but we know their coach. He's an odd guy, McDaniels. He's a great interview, but he's just a weird guy. I don't know if I fully believe in him yet. He has a lot to prove, but yeah, we're talking about, I think, 2 of the best divisions today with the AFC East and the NFC East.
There's no doubt. How about this, Zay? I'll give you 2 games to pay attention to early in the year. Miami starts at the Chargers, at the Patriots. So not every team has to go back-to-back road games to start. They are one of them that does. Then they'll play Denver at home, which is a game they should win. But I always look at it. Don't go 0-2 in the NFL. The old school numbers told you that your chances of making the playoffs drop off the table if you go 0-2.
Even with that 17 game, we're still looking at it like that?
Yeah, 17 may change it a little bit, so maybe we need to think of it as first 3 games. You got to just win one of the first 3. But I'm still one of those old school thinkers where I'm like, I don't want to go 0-2.
Oh, no.
I don't. Cowboys are going to start with the 2 New York teams. You got to win one of those games. Cowboys start with at Giants, Jets at home, at Arizona. And here's what's weird for me. I think they have to win those road games for sure. Show me you're that good right away. Go beat the Giants on the road, and you should go beat Arizona on the road.
Absolutely.
I'm not saying I'm letting the Jets come in here and beat the Cowboys. I'd love to see 3-0 as a start. But to me, the Jets are the best of those 3 teams, theoretically. Yeah, I know it's only week 2.
And you know you got Aaron Rodgers versus the Cowboys PTSD, no matter if he's wearing
yes, I do.
a different shade of green or not.
When he cocks his arm, chills run up and down my spine. You are correct, sir.
And that's the thing about him, too, because, yes, he's an all-world quarterback, one of the greatest to ever do it, but Tom Brady, we saw him struggle last year. And yes, the Buccaneers had all types of problems throughout the whole entire roster, offense and defense, including special teams. But Tom Brady showed his age last year. As good as he is, he showed his age. With Aaron Rodgers coming into a new system, I know him and Nathaniel Hackett have a history and whatnot, but just the adjustment there and the father time factor, like that's going to have to kick in sooner or later.
But the other thing, the thing he's got going for him, he's in that mid to late 30s instead of where Brady was with that into his 40s. Plus, as much as you know, I was into the end of Brady's career being with the Bucs, but Rodgers has a better gun in his late 30s.
Yeah,
he just has a better weapon to use, and now he's got these young weapons around him and the defense they've got. So that's a team you have to pay attention to. Again, the start for the Jets, that Monday nighter against Buffalo, we're all looking for. And then they're at Dallas, week 2. Week 2, Aaron Rodgers and the Jets coming to Jerry World. It's a massive game that everyone's going to watch.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. He has one better arm than Brady for sure. But a big part of what makes him is, when you think that absolutely nobody's open, and then he gives you 13 yards with his legs.
Yep.
Like, is he still going to be able/willing to do that? Because instinct just going to kick in. So he'll try it, but will he still have enough giddy up to get those yards that he used to do to, break people's backs when we're so worried about, his passing game? Once he gets those 3rd and 12s with his legs and stuff, and that completely deflates your defense, does he still have that in him?
Yeah, that effective mobility from him is one of the most dangerous things about him. He can make all the throws. The guy that reminds me of Rodgers in that regard is sometimes Mahomes. You don't look at Patrick and think, well, that's a big old freaky dude who can run fast, but he'll get you those yards. He'll duck out at 12 yards on a 3rd and 10. And you're like, how did he just move those sticks?
That run that he had in the Super Bowl on the bum ankle in the 4th quarter. I don't remember what that was, but
that was big time.
I'm going to say it was like a 3rd down or so, and they needed that.
And they got the flag on top, remember?
Yeah.
They crushed him out of bounds.
Yeah, sure.
Got the flag on top of it. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers can do all that stuff. Plus, you're right. My PTSD right now, all I can see is him throwing to Jared Cook over and over again. And I swear, I did an investigation on that. I think Jared Cook was 55 years old that day. I really do. I know what they're saying, his birth certificate's different. I think they doctored that. That's still one of the silliest plays I've ever seen.
The Eagles, they're going to have to adjust to a new offense and defensive coordinator.
Yeah.
And that's a perfect, I think, opening for the Cowboys to maybe dethrone them. I feel like everybody's just acting like the Eagles are expected to go right back to the Super Bowl. And I get it. They are a very good team, but they've lost a few guys, including the coordinators I just talked about. Like, if those new guys come in and they change stuff up, like, they're going to have a very tough schedule because every team that gets in the Super Bowl has a very tough schedule the following year.
Mm-hmm.
I could see them kind of losing the step.
So a closer look at that schedule that you bring up. Let's remember this. Anybody who gets matched up with the Bucs because they were first place in their division, it's a little bit of an anomaly, right? The Bucs are first place, but they were 8-9, right? So Philly will go to Tampa, a game they should handle, but that's almost like an easier version of a first place game. But, Zay, it means they have to play Minnesota. In addition to, I already told you, they play the NFC West, so they have to play the first place team there, which is the NFC West, the Niners. So they already have to play them. But they have to play Minnesota, and out of the AFC, they draw Kansas City in Arrowhead. So that's partly that you faced them in the Super Bowl, but that was one they couldn't resist, where they're like, wait, first place? Which one of these first place, which one of these other AFC teams we going to make them play? Oh, yeah, it's that one. So that's big. If you're watching the Eagles, that toughens up the schedule. They start at New England and Minnesota at home. So an interesting game there week 2. While the Cowboys are dealing with the Jets, you'll be peeking in if you're a Cowboys fan. Let's see how Philly deals with Minnesota, hosting Kirk Cousins. Bring the Vikings out to your place. Early, though. Philly early. Philly in like September, a little different. Not hopefully the frigid cold situation that Minnesota might be looking at in another part of the year. So that's a game to keep in mind. And then Philly goes at Tampa in that 3rd week of the year. But I agree with you. It's always weird to see it. The loser of the Super Bowl, how are you bouncing back? And, how are you going momentum-wise? We all know what they did in the draft. They drafted everybody that's ever played at Georgia, including the rights to Herschel Walker and Eric Zaire, I think. I think they got those. I think they
got Champ Bailey out of retirement,
yes,
too.
I think they got the rights to Champ Bailey just because they could do it. We're talking NFC and AFC East. If you want to throw in on it, let us know today. Again, Cowboys division will play this AFC East and the NFC West. So you're going to have Cowboys and Niners and Cowboys and Rams and all that stuff. And again, Cowboys at Giants, Jets at home, at Arizona. That's your first 3 games. I'm not going to demand a 3-0, but I think 2-1 needs to happen for the Cowboys to feel good right there.
Yeah, as far as the Buffalo Bills go, Josh Allen, he was dealing with that UCL injury a lot of part of the second half of the season. And people say, if he didn't have that injury, then they might have been right there with the Bengals, maybe beat the Bengals to get to Kansas City in the AFC Championship. I would tell you, the way that Josh Allen plays, he's going to have a lot of injuries. Because that dude, when he takes off running, it's not about sliding. It ain't about getting out of bounds. It's about lowering your shoulder and trying to get extra yardage to, throw out that dominance and get the whole team hype.
Yeah, he kind of goes to the Ben Roethlisberger, Cam Newton school of running.
Yeah.
I'm running to hurt you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, I that caught up with him last year, and he talked about how, I'm going to have to dial it back a little bit. I know if I want to be there for my team, I can't take the hits that I took in 2022. Same with Jalen Hurts. That stuff ain't going to last, dog. Like, you can't play that physical for the whole course of your career. Now, I know you're still young, and you see that, we're right there, one of the best teams in the league. I got to play this way in order for us to have a chance to maybe get back to a Super Bowl. I get that, but that's why the Baltimore Ravens were scared to pay Lamar Jackson, which I know a big part of that front office is probably like, Lamar, hopefully, can you slide a little bit more this year? They probably had conversation with him, hardball and all. Can you slide more? Can you get out of bounds? Can you save your body? Because we need you on the field. And those running quarterbacks, dual threat guys, it's just such a physical game, man. I'm always afraid of them taking hits and being out for their ball club.
By the way, Buffalo at Philly, November 26th.
Beautiful.
November 26th. And then the very next game is at the Chiefs. That's a hell of a back-to-back. The Bills are at the 2 Super Bowl teams back-to-back and then host Dallas. That's rough. That is a rough hunk of schedule there for the Buffalo Bills. My goodness. So, yeah, just to bring it up, just to bring it up. I love looking at schedules this time of year to see kind of what teams are dealing with. It's a great point on Buffalo. And let's also remember, because they're first place, they have to play Cincinnati, and they're there, and they have to play Jacksonville. Now, they also get the Tampa thing. They get the Tampa thing they gave them that out of the NFC West, or NFC South, rather, so it's a little different. But in addition to playing Kansas City and Philly, they got to play Cincinnati, they got to play Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Tough.
Can never sleep on Belichick. I mean, I know he switched up his coordinators, which he should have. Matt Patricia last year, that's an absolute disgrace even for him. And then you look at the Commanders, Sam Howell, he's the worst quarterback in that division, obviously. But they have a lot of high hopes for him, Ron Rivera and crew.
Let me give you the first 3 for the Patriots. You tell me what the record is for you today. New England is hosting Philly.
Nope.
Host Miami.
Nope.
At the Jets.
Nope. 0-3.
You think?
See, they're going to finesse one game.
Belichick's not going 0-3.
That's what I'm saying. They're going to finesse one game, right?
What happens if he's 3-0? What happens if they beat the Jets in New York and he walks off that field 3-0? Hey, coach, well, how about this team? Hey, we're just pretty good. We're just on to the next game. We're just trying to figure it out. Mac Jones shreds those 3 quarterbacks, shreds those 3 defenses. I don't know that they're going 3-0, but I'm going to say they don't go 0-3. I'm going to say he figures out at least one of those, maybe 2. We'll talk more of those East divisions. Next hour at 2:05, we'll try to check in with Haley Sutton out in Oxnard as the Cowboys get ready for camp. That press conference everybody always talks about is tomorrow. First open practice for the Cowboys is tomorrow, and they will roll from there. Up next, let's talk a little flex, the special teams guys on the all-flex watch list. We'll tell you who they are and where you can find them next on The Horn.
the record on. I wanna dance with my baby.
Chad and Zay.
I think I know this one. I'm going to reserve the right to let them sing. Yeah. This is Madonna, right?
Yeah, man.
There it is. See, I didn't even need her to sing. Very, very techno Madonna.
Yeah.
Dance club Madonna. To go with Duran Duran and Bobby Brown. All had something to say in the 80s and beyond. All right, so Chad and Zay with you on this Tuesday. We were just talking NFC East and AFC East. They play each other. Big names, big games. And yes, Philly does have to go to Kansas City this year. And therefore, you get Philly and Kansas City. You'll get Buffalo, Kansas City. The Cowboys have to play that whole division as well. So a lot of crazy stuff going on when you know you got the Chiefs, Niners, and Eagles are all on your schedule. And the Eagles are on there twice, obviously, for the Cowboys. So lots going on there. Apparently, that press conference was today. I had read that it was going to be tomorrow, the famous Jerry, Stephen, and Mike McCarthy press conference. I say them in that order because that's how the order I feel they are important in that press conference, by the way it's presented. Apparently, it's already happened, Zay. Happened earlier. Hopefully, we'll get a chance to hear Haley Sutton's breakdown of it. When she contacted you and called it the McCarthy press conference, I thought, oh my God.
Yeah, she said Mike, and that's it.
Were there really no Joneses present? So I'm going to hope beyond hope, but I did see earlier that it was scheduled as McCarthy, Jones, and Jones once again. Because, every team does that. They have their owner, GM, president, VP of player personnel. Everybody sits up there.
Yeah, I mean...
Not really.
Not surprised at all.
No. Never surprised with that. So now he's got a whole new issue to deal with. It's not just about can you run the damn ball with this running back room. Now it's about Zach Martin. And can your salary cap people figure out your issues before the season starts? Or are you going to have to start the season without Zach Martin?
Yeah, Zach Martin, he ain't stupid. And Big Mike said, yo, man, we want to run the ball a lot more this year to save our defense's legs when they're on the sideline getting the rest. Zach Martin probably like, oh, word? For real? Okay, cool. Give me some more money.
Right.
Because y'all are going to need me, one of the best in the league, to do that.
Yeah.
And when he's one of the best offensive linemen, 99 rating on Madden, which he made it known. I don't know if you've seen that, Chad. He put that as his profile picture on Twitter on some real petty stuff that I could definitely appreciate.
It's a good move.
And when you're an all-pro, and he's probably going to be top 25 picked by the players, when you're picked number one, guards by execs, players, coaches, and scouts all together, you want to be treated like that.
Yeah.
And when you're getting paid 31st out of all the linemen in the National Football League, yeah, I can see why he's a little bit salty, even though he's 32 years old, which is probably what Steven and Jerry are telling him, like, yo, man, we want to win this year. We want to spread this money out so CD and Diggs could get paid. And Zach Martin's like, nah, bro, what I've done for this franchise, I get it. I want to win too, but a big part of winning is me. Give me my money.
Yep, and we mentioned it earlier. 7-year, $93.41 million deal that he signed back in 2018, but they've reworked that deal multiple times. So he's looking for money. That's something Mike McCarthy's got to deal with right away at this camp as the Cowboys get ready for the 2023 season. And as we sit here today, it's 47 days till they play their first game. Longhorn fans and college football fans, we've dipped under 40 now. 39 days till Texas plays Rice in that first big weekend on September the 2nd. All right, let's get to your Flex segment. The All Flex Watch Team continues with the special teamers in the area. Here we go.
Flex ATX for the best high school sports coverage. Listen to the Horn and go to FLXATX.com. Flex 30 is brought to you by Brain Vault. Brain Vault is a revolutionary and patented mouthguard that has been proven to help reduce the risk of concussion. Visit brainvault.com and join the movement.
All righty, you heard the man tell you, FLXATX.com. Or you can also just follow FlexATX on your socials. That's how you can find the All Flex watch list. We're talking special teamers today, and we'll start with the kickers. I can think of some big kicks that were made last year in high school football around this area. Specifically, a guy at Vandegrift comes to mind. He is not going to be kicking this year, if I'm not mistaken. I think he's moved on. But Spencer Barnett at Westlake, first team All-District last year. He makes the All-Flex Watch team. Peyton Moss from out my way in Elgin, the kicker. He was their district kicker MVP. Kai Haruki of Round Rock is on this list. As far as punters go, Owen Norrell of Westwood, the Leander punter, Ivan Rodriguez. Whew, I wonder if they call him Pudge. I would hope they do. Second team All-District last year. Evan Vasque, V-A-S-Q-U-E. Maybe go Vasque on that one, of Northeast. Their punter makes the All-Flex watch list. Jake Helms, we've told you that name, the long snapper from Westlake, one of the best long snappers in the area. And if I'm not mistaken, he was the All-Flex long snapper last year. Luca Wilson of Cedar Park, also on the long snapper list. Tristan Compton of Hutto on the long snapper list.
Is Compton in the house?
There you go. Tristan Compton. And finally, Zay, how about 5 return specialists making the All-Flex watch list? These are the guys you got to watch out for if you're punting or kicking to them. Leonard Moore at Round Rock.
Yo.
Look out.
Kick it out of bounds.
Notre Dame commit, correct? For Leonard?
Yeah.
That Round Rock team is nasty. They're physical. With Cochran, they won the 7-on-7, and Leonard Moore is a beast on defense. Throw to his side at your own risk, and then kick to him at your own risk. Heath McCree of Westlake is a return specialist on this list. Also, Bryson Batts of Austin High. Miles Coleman, another name we have mentioned plenty on this show. From
North Texas commit.
That's right, North Texas commit from Vandegrift. Miles Coleman, can't wait to see all the ways they'll use him in the offense this year at Vandegrift and what that team will look like. And then finally, another name we've mentioned, Adrian Wilson, the talented receiver out of Weiss, who is a TCU commit, I believe. I believe that's where the commitment ended up with Adrian Wilson. He's class of 25, though, remember, so 2 more seasons for you Wolf fans out there in Weiss. Adrian Wilson. Congrats to everybody on the All-Flex watch list, special teams edition, and go check it out online. If you missed offensive and defensive line yesterday, go check that out. Tomorrow, we will get into defensive backs and linebackers. So we'll head back to the defensive side tomorrow. Chad and Zay with you on this Tuesday. We've also talked about this Arch Manning story, the first NIL deal for Arch. And I know a lot of people are talking about the fact that his family had said that he wasn't going to make any NIL before he really started playing and getting playing time. But, I mean, are we really going to get on the kid for hooking up with this company that now is going to put all the proceeds towards St. David's and helping, kids and helping people's lives and that horrible situation of having to go to the hospital, having to take yourself or your child to the hospital? All the proceeds are going to St. David's Healthcare and the St. David's Foundation. This is off of one signed card, one of one. He signed it, and earlier today, it was up over $30,000, Zay, that they're going to raise for St. David's.
Yeah, and I get, the Mannings kind of having their reservations on, okay, do we allow Arch to do this? And because he maybe doesn't deserve it, we don't want him getting a big head, kind of what we talked about with Jaylen Brown and all the money that he's getting. Is he still going to have that edge about him? So I get why they were a little wary on, should they allow Arch to do it? But the fact that it's for such a good cause, I think they made an exception, and I'm with it.
And the other thing is, I'm assuming in that world of signing stuff, and this company is called Panini America. He's now exclusive to them. There will be a day when he has to sit down and sign a bunch of stuff. I told you, it's one of one. He signed his name one time, and they're going to take all the proceeds and give it to St. David. So I guess theoretically, Arch Manning might not have gotten a cent off of this. He's just got an agreement in place. Maybe they put some money aside for something. I don't know how that all works, but maybe it's just an agreement at this point, and he is not technically getting paid, if that detail matters to you. Because, and that's one of those also where I might tell Archie or whoever it was that put that out there, you didn't need to. You didn't need to say that. He's not going to make any NIL money before he has playing time. Well, now you've done this, and you got people coming back looking at what you said.
Yeah.
So you probably didn't need to say it. But to me, that's a little detail.
I didn't agree with that to jump.
Like when they said that, I was like, that's weird. I got it, but allow the kid to make that paper. Like, why not? You know?
Make the money while you can.
Exactly. But again, they were looking at, hey, does he deserve this? Is he going to get big-headed? Is he still going to have that work ethic? And those things are all valid, but the whole point of what NIL is, especially with a name like that, is to make the most out of it, and he should be able to do that just like everybody else that has those opportunities.
Right, and again, Quinn Ewers has an agreement with this company as well. That's the one thing I would have done, too, if I'm Arch Manning. I would have obviously checked with the family if they're cool with it, Texas and the coaches and all that stuff, but I would have definitely gone to Quinn specifically and talked to him about it. Like, hey, man, I'm staying in the shadows on this one. I'm staying under the radar on it. We're raising money for this deal. You're not going to see me at a bunch of signings. That's not what this is about. I am not getting in your way. I'm staying out of your way, 3. I promise. Like, that would have been necessary for me. I think that'd be good for Quinn to hear and good for them. Hopefully their relationship is good where everybody understands what's going on here.
Yeah.
That he's not trying to get the biggest limelight here. He's just trying to help this organization out.
Before we go to break, do you agree with the Specs texter about Zach Martin? Trade his ass. No renegotiation. You made the deal and stick to it. Kids these days.
No. No. Yeah. You're going to need to pay that guy. And because the other thing that's coming down the line is you have to understand that Tyron Smith probably doesn't make it 17 games. If he has any kind of injury, that's Tyler Smith having to kick out to tackle, and then you got to replace a guard there. And go look at the names. Go look at the names of the guy they just drafted late, another guy they drafted late round. These guys that are like, you kind of know the name, but these dudes are going to have to try to step in there at guard for a team that the coach says they're going to run the damn ball with that group of running backs and Dak Prescott, and you can just go down the list of everything that they've got there. No, I would absolutely figure out a way to pay Zach Martin. Plus, because he's still at an all-pro level. Yeah. His numbers are still badass at this point. He's up into just over 30 to 32, somewhere in there, which for an offensive lineman, that ain't done yet. He's still putting up those numbers, and he's been good for you restructuring things. I would absolutely pay Zach Martin.
Not only do you have to play a team twice that had over 70 sacks last year, you're playing against Kansas City, Chris Jones.
Yep.
You're playing against the Jets, who just signed Quentin Williams.
Yep.
Really, really good. And you got to play the Rams, even though they're going through their thing. There's a guy named Aaron Donald over there that people arguably consider maybe the greatest defensive player of all time. Now, I know Lawrence Taylor and Deion Sanders probably have a lot to say about those things, a la Reggie White too. But if you're in that category for interior linemen, it's thick out here. It's definitely thick on the Cowboys schedule. And yeah, Zach Martin knows all of that.
Yeah, he does. Did you mention the Niners? Did you say the Niners?
No, I said they just got Hargrave. Yeah, along with Bosa and stuff. You might have to see him as much, but you got to see him a little bit the way they be moving all those guys around. But yeah, they just got Hargrave from the Eagles. Yeah, who's one of the top defensive tackles in the league too.
I know it's unrealistic to say you got to figure it out and you got to pay everybody. I hope they can get it all figured out with Martin, and then they're looking at Lamb and they're looking at Diggs and they're looking at and the other guy's Terrence Steele. Terrence Steele coming off that injury, but he's been good for them out there at the right tackle spot. They're trying to shore that up. So can the Cowboys get all the cap stuff and the deals figured out? As a Cowboys fan, I'm looking at it as, okay, I know this may not be how the money works, but you did go after a couple of free agent things, which you don't do a lot. You didn't really go after that running back thing. You have not contacted Dalvin Cook and done any of that money. It's like, okay, so now figure out the stuff you really need to figure out. Yeah. I would hope that in the next couple of days, Zach Martin gets figured out. I did read a report today that there are people around the Cowboys that believe this will get done. That's why I'm interested to talk to Haley Sutton coming up at 2:05. If we can grab her from Oxnard to hear, what are they hearing out there? How much worry is there amongst the Cowboys that this won't get done? Because let's be honest, Zach Martin, he's not going to rep a lot in preseason. No. I don't want Zach Martin out there beating and banging in preseason in those 3 games.
No, that's a waste.
You got a little time. Is this getting done before they hit the field against the Giants? That's the question.
By the way, Dexter Lawrence, nose guard tackle. I mean,
for the Giants. He's pretty good too.
Dexter Lawrence is pretty good. Yeah, pretty darn good. All right, coming up, it is Haley Sutton from the Cowboys, host and reporter out there in Oxnard, getting things started. We'll see what that press conference was like today with McCarthy and Jones and get her thoughts on this team. Up next, where are we at in society with Zay? We'll see what he wants to get into. We are rolling through a Tuesday. Arch Manning and an NIL deal, and 2 other big athletes signed massive deals. We'll remind you who they are next as well on the Horn. All right, this is Chad. Let's talk Apple leasing. Any make, any model, any car, any truck, SUV, whatever it is you're looking for. New, used, they have all kinds of different options for you. Could be new to you like it was to me. I didn't end up with an absolutely new car, but it was certainly new to me, and it was an upgrade from where I was, and it definitely fit what I was looking for in terms of the payment, in terms of the way the leasing worked. It's so flexible with what they do. You just call them up at 346-9977 and have them walk you through the process of how everything works. It's the easiest and safest way to get a new car. You sign everything electronically with DocuSign. That saves a ton of time and effort. Also, same discounts and incentives that the dealers can get you, they can get you too. If there's anything left over from a 4th of July sale, or you got other sales maybe coming up when we get towards Labor Day and all that type of stuff, or it's just end of the year once you get closer to the end of 23 and the 24s are out there and they're trying to move the 23s. All that stuff, Apple Leasing knows all of that like the back of their hand, and they have way more contacts, obviously, than you do. They'll get you the best options, best possibilities, all the different payment options, let you make the best choice, and they'll do it in the easiest way possible. Call 346-9977. Be sure to tell them you heard about it right here on the Horn and heard me talk about it. You can also check them out online at appleleasing.com.
Chad and Zay.
Yeah, there it is. This is a song that does not do what you think it's going to do. This song almost starts like an 80s country song. It almost has that vibe to it. You got that little acoustic guitar. And then the Queen of Soul shows up. I guess the Queen, wait, is she the Queen of Soul? She's the Queen of Rock and Roll. Sorry, the Queen of Soul would be Aretha. This is Tina Turner.
That's right.
And this is called, can't think of the title. She's about to say it. What is this song? Oh, what you get is what you see. God, I forgot about this one. The late, great Tina Turner. I can't believe I have to say that. Tina, Madonna, Duran Duran, Bobby Brown. My first concert ever. Tina Turner, private dancer tour.
That's right. That changed your life when you saw them legs, huh?
Yeah. It'll do it. It'll do it. It will do it.
How shiny was the dress?
She was incredible. It was awesome. It was one of those dresses that every move she made, the whole thing kind of shimmered. You know, it was one of those type of deals.
That was her signature.
Tina was absolutely incredible. All right, hope you're having an incredible Tuesday as we get closer to football. 39 days till Texas plays Rice. First NFL game will be 44 days from now. Kansas City thinks Kadarius Toney will be ready, even though he had surgery already.
Yeah. Just remove a couple of things in this cartilage, and they said he'll maybe be ready week 1, but yeah, he'll be ready early in the season, which is nuts.
God love the medical community, man.
Yo, when I hear surgery, I'm like, oh, this dude's out for months.
One of the best points I've ever heard a guest make over the years, and it was our guy Will Carroll. I think he's still at Injury Report on Twitter. He's a great guest, love covering the injury side of sports and all kinds of different things, baseball-wise and others. He made a great point that Dr. James Andrews should be in every Hall of Fame. Should just be in all of them, an honorary member of every Hall of Fame, because he's helped so many of those people.
Right.
And he's right. So hopefully Toney gets better for 44 days from now. First NFL Sunday is 47 days away. Also, somebody, we were just talking Cowboys as they get ready for camp. We'll try to check in at Cowboys camp with Haley Sutton coming up at 2:05. And we were talking the East divisions today, NFC and AFC. Tomorrow we'll do the same with the South divisions, since the Texans are in one of those, and they play the NFC South. Two divisions that really feel up for grabs in a way are going to have to play each other. So we'll break that down tomorrow during the show. Right now, let's get you a Where Are We At in Society and see what Zay wants to get into today.
Where are we at in society today?
All right, Zay, have I been sent another video of you dunking, or what are we doing?
Nah. I don't have many videos of those for obvious reasons. But I did send you the topic for Where Are We At today.
Okay.
Tom Brady is outside. So we knew about the Kim Kardashian rumors, and I think that was very fictional. But the rumors, you know, they were still seen dancing on the beach and having a good time, but they're not dating.
Right.
Tom now might have a new boo thing in his life, and we know Tom Brady has a type. He was seen over the course of 2 days at his home with famous supermodel Irina Shayk, who is as bad gets, like Terrible 2's bad, just
Irina
Bebe Kids bad.
Is she Russian?
Yes, Russian supermodel. She got big on the 2011 Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue. And yeah, her and Tom Brady spent the weekend together at his crib, where pictures were taken of them hugging each other very tightly and him caressing her face.
Wow.
That's right. So Tom has moved on. And apparently there's two sides of how Giselle thinks. One side says she's not happy. The other side says, why wouldn't she be happy for Tom? She divorced him. It is helpful to her freedom that he moved on.
Yeah, that's a tough one. And it's, I'm assuming it's the same thing. It's the same thing for anybody at any level, even when you're that good looking. Like deep down in her soul, we don't know if Giselle thinks she's hotter than that woman. We don't know. Because when she looks at her, she's going to have a certain thought.
Yeah.
I can tell you what I thought. You could tell me what you – it doesn't matter. It matters what she thinks. And then it's also, does she really want Tom to move on? Is she still hanging on to it? Is she vindictive? But that's a healthy thing. I've never had to deal with it on a marriage level, thank goodness. But when you like break up with somebody, if you try to sort of stay friends with them, or you can at least be happy for them and go, oh, that's great for her, in my case. Where, oh, no, that's really cool, and then they can even tell you about the relationship. Hey, I'm happy for you, right? And then they would want the same for you, theoretically. Tom and Gisele have to deal with each other. We hope they can be adults about it, but that's a Russian supermodel of the highest order.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what if they see each other around, like being supermodels and stuff? I'm sure they go to similar events and parties and know similar people.
Hey,
if they've seen each other around and they, just coming up in the game, they've crossed paths and they maybe weren't very friendly, or maybe they were friendly, and Tom knew that. Like she's been to events of Gisele's or vice versa, and because that's some play of wild stuff, Tom.
Yeah.
If she's been to Gisele events and they've had a cordial relationship, I'm not saying they're besties or anything, but they're cordial with one another and they respect one another to where it might be against the code to date somebody like that. I don't know. This ain't no like Kendall Jenner hopping around from NBA player to NBA player. Like, she's not married to any of those guys.
Well, the question is, like, is she in any of Gisele's circles? Obviously same business, but do they really know each other? Are they friends? Are they close at all? But remember, the stories were that Tom's not just GOAT status on the field. He actually had a good relationship with Gisele and Moynihan at the same time.
Oh,
and they got along, and everybody – remember that the interview Gisele did where she told everybody that they all were taking care of the kids and they'd sometimes share that house in Miami and all these different things. Who's to say he couldn't pull that off with a supermodel? He is Tom Brady.
He is Tom Brady.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Yeah, his mouthpiece seems like it's pretty strong.
Dude, if he pulls off dating a Russian supermodel – after being married to a Brazilian supermodel and in the middle just kind of hung out with Kardashian, well played.
Yo.
What a transition that is.
I can see why Gisele could be a little salty. I can see that because they still got kids together. And the kids see this. The kids are old enough to see the tabloids, to see the headlines, and to see the TMZ and all that stuff. So, seeing Pops get around with Gisele, she don't got much room to talk with Jiu-Jitsu, oh boy, karate master. Karate Kid, she ain't got, she doing her own thing, and she should be able to.
And again, we're not talking about Tom getting around that much. We're talking, 2 women in a year?
He getting around.
I mean,
he getting around, because what don't we know?
I understand.
That's where I'm at.
Look, I understand when you date Kim Kardashian on any level that you're getting around because it takes a little longer to get around parts of Kim. I get that. I understand that part. But I don't know that I would say he's getting around. I would say, though, this is high-level 5-star transfer portal stuff. That's what this is. When you go transfer portal from Gisele Bündchen and you end up with that Russian supermodel, holy moly. Like, Leonardo DiCaprio is somewhere on a yacht applauding this. Like, I can't compete with that.
Yeah.
I mean, I hang out with a lot of hot women and everything, but I don't think I can compete with what he just pulled off.
Salute, Tom.
Go ahead,
do your
Tom.
thing, baby. Enjoy the freedom.
Go ahead, Tom. I told all y'all that the NFL's first Sunday is 47 days away, but I can guarantee you Tom Brady does not care about that right now if he's hanging out with the Russian supermodel. All right, coming up, your 2 o'clock hour. We'll see if we can check in with Haley Sutton out in Cali, where the Cowboys are going to get camp started with open practices in the next couple days. We'll get her thoughts on the team, the whole Zach Martin thing, and more. Don't move. It's The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Oh, I like it. Hour number 3 on a Tuesday. It's Chad and Zay. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier, and he picks a special beat for all of us to start the third hour. What do you got, Zay?
Biggie Smalls going back to Cali.
Nice. Yeah. A lot of good fuzz in that beat.
Oh, yeah, this beat's fire.
A lot of good fuzziness. Always like that. All right. Always like it when football season cranks up, too. Let's hit the Vaqueros Cafe and Cantina hotline and talk some Cowboys with Haley Sutton, host and reporter for the Cowboys. You can follow her on Twitter @_Haley Sutton. And we're always jealous when we get to talk to somebody that's in California this time of year and not in Texas. Haley, how are you?
Hey, you know what? I was just getting ready to say that the best part about this trip so far has been the fact that we've been outside for about 4 hours, and I have not had to change my clothes once because I am not profusely sweating like I normally do in Dallas, Texas. So it is so good to be here in Oxnard, California.
Man, that's so good. I'm glad you guys are getting to deal with that weather, and I know everything's getting cranked up today. So first off, let's go first things first. They did have the press conference today with McCarthy and Jones, correct? That is done?
Yes, that is done. It happened at about 10:05. It was we're running a little bit late, but yeah, we have got all of that in the books already.
Okay, so in the past, that press conference has produced some noteworthy moments, weird moments, strange moments. Jerry cries, says weird things about McCarthy. McCarthy says weird things. Sometimes Steven says weird things. Did anything weird happen? Was it a Dallas Cowboy press conference, or maybe was it just kind of boring and they talk football?
I think it was probably a mix of both. I mean, listen, we all know the character that is Jerry Jones, right? That's what makes him such a fantastic interview, because you never know what he's going to say or how he's going to say it. So I think in terms of like headline grabbing phrases, there wasn't any of that I could deter from.
Okay.
But I will say there was a lot of conversation between, Mike McCarthy being the new play caller. Jerry had a really insightful message about that, saying, it wasn't about, what Kellen Moore lacked. It was about what Mike McCarthy had that they felt like the franchise really needed to give a chance going forward. So there were some little moments like that were definitely interesting. But as far as like, the spotlight, typical Cowboys weirdness, as you mentioned earlier, I don't think there was much of that.
Ooh, that's good news. I like hearing that, Zay. I like hearing it.
Yeah, Haley, probably the headline that y'all got going on at training camp right now is Zach Martin not showing up, not even getting on the plane. The all-pro guard, he wants to renegotiate his contract because he knows he's one of the best guards in the league. He's just not getting paid like it compared to some of the other guys in the NFL. What's the vibe on that contract situation? Do you feel like anything's going to get done soon, or this might go on for the long haul?
That was obviously one of the first things that the guys were asked today. Jerry Jones is very adamant in saying that they weren't going to speak about business decisions while here at camp. The focus here is camp and building the team. So they're going to keep business and pleasure separate. He was asked about it twice, and that was basically his same answer. But I think the thing you have to recognize with Zach Martin is that this is kind of unprecedented for someone like him to have a holdout, right? And we know what he deserves. We know that he is marginally underpaid. I believe he makes $7 million less than the next highest paid lineman, which I believe is Chris Lindstrom with the Falcons. And so what Zach brings to the table. And something that I also thought was interesting is that Mike continued to emphasize, like, listen, this is not a dig on who we think Zach Martin is. Our position hasn't changed with Zach. We want him to be with us. We want to work out a deal. And so I think that there is obviously good communication and conversation about it, but Zach's not happy. And so until Zach can feel like he has a number that he feels happy about, that he feels that he deserves, really we're kind of at a standstill. So maybe this is solved tonight and we don't have to talk about it tomorrow and the offensive line is all good. Maybe it's solved at the end of the week. Who knows? I'm not going to be the one to speculate that, but the biggest takeaway is that there is obvious respect between the two parties. It's just a matter of meeting in the middle, because you've got to remember too that Zach's not the only one who wants a new contract. Tony playing on the franchise tag this year. Tank's contract will be coming up. Trayvon, Micah, the list goes on and on. So I think it's really just a matter of how these parties can meet in the middle as quick as possible, but they're going to do their due diligence to figure it out.
Yeah, and Haley, I also read something today that maybe Terrence Steele is a guy they'd like to figure out to lock down right on that offensive line. And speaking to that, we all know if you're a Cowboys fan and you got Smith, Biadasz, Martin, and Steele, that feels like an offensive line you could go to war with. But if something happens with those guard positions, names like Edoga and Farniok and Richards come up, and it's just some guys that I'm looking them up earlier thinking, now, when did they draft that guy, and when is that guy, and how much experience has he had? This Zach Martin thing, it really is the first domino that if it starts falling and if injuries start happening, the guard depth with the Cowboys feels a little weird right now.
Yeah, I definitely would agree. And Mike kind of touched on that as well, that they're not opposed to leaning on some of these younger guys. In fact, a lot of these younger guys are going to have to make that leap probably a little earlier than they anticipated. But that's the reality of the National Football League, right? We could sit around here all day and talk about the what ifs and the issues and how do we go from here. But the reality is all that's talk. They've got to find a way to address the situation. And so until Zach Martin comes back, until they have figured out what that future looks like, they're going to have to put somebody in that place. You mentioned a couple of great names there. Josh Ball, also a guy who has potential to pop in and kind of mix around. So it's definitely going to be a work in progress. It's obviously one of the things that we have circled on our list of things to watch. But that's the beauty of training camp. We've got a little bit of time before we have to panic. So I don't think anyone here is necessarily panicking. It's just a matter of these are the cards that they've been dealt. They're going to have to figure out what works best for both parties. And so it's only day one. They haven't even hit the field yet. Like I said, maybe he shows up tomorrow. Maybe he doesn't. We'll just kind of have to see as it goes forward.
Yep.
Haley, Steven, and Jerry Jones both did a terrific job on bringing guys in that could help the Cowboys get to where they need to be. Guys like Brandon Cooks on the offensive side and guys like Stephon Gilmore on the defensive side. And when you think about both of those guys and the fact that they have skins on the wall and played so many years in the league, they bring a certain leadership, especially the young guys like Micah Parsons and CeeDee Lamb and Trayvon Diggs. That leadership, you need that in the locker room. And also those guys have a lot of life left in the NFL with their play. What have you seen early on that those guys have brought and other guys that are new additions to this Cowboys team?
Man, I absolutely have loved what the Cowboys have done in the offseason in terms of player acquisition, because there's always this talk about the Cowboys during free agency. They don't make any moves, blah, blah, blah. Well, not only did they go out and get two of the best players, I feel, at that position that were available, but they also brought in tremendous leaders. They brought in great human beings as well. Brandon Cooks has talked in length about how one of his things that he's looking forward to is being in this Cowboys locker room is mentoring that next level. CeeDee Lamb has talked about almost instantly the impact that he had on him, very similar to what T.Y. Hilton was last year towards the end of the season. Stephon Gilmore is another guy who's exactly that same way, especially when you think about the secondary right now and what that position looks like. We know Trayvon Diggs is going to bring it because he's Trayvon. There's a couple of other players in there who can work and make moves. But when you're learning from a guy who is a former Defensive Player of the Year, accolades left and right, I mean, that experience is invaluable because you can put a playbook in front of all of these guys. You can tell them, what defense you're going to run, where you need to be, all of that stuff. But until you have somebody who, is there and you're learning from them directly, you don't realize the impact of it. I'll give you another real-time example. I'm currently working on a feature piece over Isaiah Land, the defensive end that was signed during free agency. And one of the things that he talked about was how excited he was to get to meet Micah Parsons. He said Micah Parsons is a guy who every single morning at breakfast, he would sit and watch Micah Parsons film. How could he tailor his game to what Micah is doing? And so you just see those little examples of what the veterans do to this younger class. It's going to pay dividends down the road, especially when you think about how many of these young guys who will be asked to play this year.
We're talking with Haley Sutton at _Haley Sutton on Twitter if you want to give her a follow. Host, reporter, does all kinds of great stuff with the Cowboys. She's out there in Oxnard with the better weather than we're having. Not 96, headed to 100 for her. She's out in California right now. Lucky devil. All right, so Haley, let's talk about another addition. Obviously, when the first person you draft has got to be big and big right away. Cowboys need Mazi Smith to be big figuratively, literally, and all of it. Tell us about Mazi and the time you've gotten to know him. What do us Cowboy fans need to know about the big D tackle?
Yeah, I just want to start this conversation by saying I am so partial on some of these young guys in this rookie class this year. I had the opportunity on Saturday to go down to DeMarvion Overshown's hometown and get a taste of who he was as a person, so I'm excited to be sharing that story. But in particular with Mazi Smith, I was there when we picked him up from the airport, and from the moment he was drafted to getting on that plane, driving through, walking through the facility, you can tell that this kid means business. I mean, there was even moments where he wanted to be excited, seeing his jersey hanging in the locker room for the first time, or walking around and seeing the field for the first time. You could tell he wanted to be excited, but he kept emphasizing, like, no, this is business. I can't show too much excitement because this is business for me. And obviously the size is a huge factor, right? You see him standing out there next to Micah Parsons, and you can make Micah Parsons look small. That's saying something, right? But this is a kid who is so dedicated to learning the game. I mean, from nonstop, from the moment he's become a Dallas Cowboy, he has worked to really tailor himself to what Dan Quinn and this defense needs to look like. And he's going to have to step up really big because the run defense was obviously the most challenging part of last year's defense. So in terms of what he brings to the table, yeah, he brings size, but his willingness to learn, him staying a little bit late to make sure that he's understanding concepts correctly, talking to the coaching staff, building that relationship with his teammates, that's stuff that he's already done. And my favorite part about Mazi is that he does it all with this massive smile on his face. You can just tell how much that kid loves football. So in terms of what he brings to the table, I think he's the full package and what the Cowboys were looking for in that position.
Yeah, Haley, you mentioned DeMarvion Overshown and how you spent some time with him being the former Longhorn. We definitely covered him for a lot of years. He's a great guy. And, being from the state of Texas, a lot of these athletes pass, especially when you play football, to go to the University of Texas and play for the Dallas Cowboys. So I know that's very prideful for him. But what did you learn from Demo, as we call him, his personality, how he operates and stuff? Like, what did you take in from spending time with him?
Oh my goodness. We might have to confirm this with him, but I would say we're best friends after that trip. Full disclosure, I'm not very big into the outdoors, and DeMarvion is an outdoors boy through and through. We got to meet his horse that he recently purchased and is currently keeping, at a stable while he's here at practice. But really, the number one thing that stood out is when we showed up for the interview, it wasn't just him. It was his entire family. The entire community was there, really ready to support Overshown. And on top of that, and you got to remember, too, this is the Saturday before he leaves for his first training camp in California. And instead of, packing or doing all the little things that you would expect these guys to do, he was throwing a community party for kids to go back to school. He gave away free school supplies to these kids. And so to me, that embodies who Overshown is. Yes, he's going to be a fantastic addition to this Cowboys, defense. He's going to be a fantastic addition on special teams. But what's going to carry him is his personality, his willingness to go above and beyond. And the fact that he's got such an incredible village behind him. I'm so excited to share this story because we were so lucky to spend the amount of time that we did with him, with his mom. You just see where he gets it from. So definitely a kid who's going to turn some heads, both for his play on the field, but as well, I'm excited for you guys to get to see who he is as a person.
Haley, one of the things we noticed right away about DeMarvion was his fashion sense, because he would wear these badass suits walking into the games, but then he started incorporating that cowboy hat, and I realized that dude may look as good in a cowboy hat as anybody I've ever seen. Did you get to see the cowboy hat, DeMarvion?
Oh, man, yeah. You guys head to my Twitter. I posted some pictures there as well. But he showed up full Cowboys gear, and not just the one with the star.
Yes.
He showed up with the cowboy hat. He had, his cowboy star. He had his Texas Longhorn sweatpants on, and then he had a pair of boots because we were literally out in the country. It was his, and as crazy as it sounds, like it makes sense. Like when you see who he is away from this football field, and how I'm so impressed with how he has been able to keep that, keep yourself at the forefront and still be this dominating player. Because we've seen it time and time again where these players, maybe they don't come from much. All of a sudden they get a lot of money and they completely change their aura. They completely become these divas, these fashionistas, and all these, whatever the stereotypes are. And Overshown has not done that. Demo has literally kept himself at the forefront. And he even told me, that's who I am. I'm not going to change who I am just because I'm playing professional football. Now, at the end of the day, like, these are my roots. And in fact, when we touched down in California, he's never been to California before. So I texted him and I said, what are your thoughts on California so far as we were driving up the Pacific North Highway? And his first text message back that he said to me was, I haven't seen any horses yet. And it's just like, when you think about how stunning this place is, the fact that that's the first thing that came to his mind is that he's looking for horses. I mean, it's just who he is in a nutshell. And, I mean, don't get it twisted. He's a phenomenal player as well. So I'm excited to see how Dan Quinn incorporates him into this defense. But, yeah, I can't say enough good stuff about him or Mazi or really a lot of these rookies that we have coming in this year. Will McClay has done a phenomenal job over the last few years of really bringing in players who not only fit the Cowboys mold on the football field, but they're fantastic people as well. So I'm just excited to see kind of how guys like Overshown and Mazi and Luke Schoonmaker and all of these young guys really find their way into this roster.
Yeah, that's great stuff, Haley. I'm not surprised Demo has a horse and bought one right when he got drafted. That's definitely right up his alley. Last one for me before we let you go. Dak Prescott, he knows that the interception mark that he had last year is unacceptable for where the Cowboys really want to go. And he talked about how that can't happen and how Mike McCarthy has really helped him settle in and gave him a lot of confidence going into the 2023 season. What else are you seeing from Dak? Because we know he has the locker room and whatnot, but I feel like a lot of people are sleeping on him just because he led the league in interceptions last year, when really, if you look at a lot of his other stats on a positive standpoint, he's better than a lot of the guys that you consider top tier in the league at certain, statistics when it comes to being a quarterback.
You know who Dak plays for, right? The Dallas Cowboys and what that comes with. Listen, I've never met a player like Dak Prescott, and it's easy to put him in a category of, like this upper echelon of quarterbacks, and he's a good person, blah, blah, blah. But the way nothing phases this man, it's actually a trait that I wish more people, myself included, had, because it's so interesting to me how, these national outlets can get a quote wrong and still run with it and still try and take the story in a completely different direction, trying to paint this narrative of who he is, when in reality, nobody is more interested in addressing the interceptions than Dak Prescott. And if we really look at where he ranks, we're not talking about the fact that Josh Allen was knocking on the door right behind him with 15, 14 interceptions as well last year. We're not talking about, some of these other guys who are maybe made same mistakes, if not more. But I think because of the added pressure of playing for the Dallas Cowboys, everything gets amplified. But the one thing that I will say about Dak is, again, like, he's not worried about it. He understands that last year was unacceptable, and nobody knows that more than him. And you've seen that in the offseason. I mean, shoot, he packed up the entire offense last week, put them on a plane, took them to Georgia, gave them a little bit of a, reset before they came out to camp. And then they were out on the field and they were doing work. And this is not just the veteran guys. Jalen Tolbert was out there. 7th-round draft pick Jalen Brooks was out there. Malik Davis was out there working out. So he has taken strides to make sure that excuse of last season is done, not talked about anymore. And I have nothing but confidence in the fact that he's going to figure it out, because he, that's who he is. He's a competitor. And like you mentioned off the top of this, like, Dak is a fantastic quarterback. He just gets a lot more slack than others because of the weight that this star carries. So I am not in the least concerned with Dak. I'm actually excited to get to chat with him when he gets out here to camp, just to kind of reinforce that energy that he's putting out to kind of combat some of those national narratives that are out there.
Cowboys are getting camp cranked up in the next couple days. Open practice is getting started. That initial press conference is behind us now, and we are 47 days away from the first Cowboys regular season game. That is Haley Sutton. Check her out. I just retweeted Haley's deal with DeMarvion Overshown. You can see the picture of the family gathered in the Cowboy hats. You can see Haley's special outfit that she put together to go hang out with the Overshowns in Arp, Texas, because if you're going to Arp, Texas, you need to look the part, and Haley certainly did. Check out all her great stuff at _Haley Sutton. And Haley, just to clarify for Longhorn fans, that piece with DeMarvion, it's going to be coming out during training camp sometime?
Yes, it'll air in our special edition show that we have that comes on Bally Sports. So I'm currently working on getting through the footage. I'm hoping to have it be airing next week, but I will put all updates on social media. It'll also be, on our YouTube channels and all that. So plenty of places for you guys to find it.
That is awesome. Well, we always appreciate your time. Enjoy training camp. We thank you for a little bit of time today. Stay cool out there in Cali, and best of luck with everything.
Thanks so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Haley.
Haley Sutton, good stuff as always. And yeah, DeMarvion does look comfortable with that horse. Just bought a horse.
Oh, he country now. He is country.
She said, "How do you like Cali?" And he said, "I haven't seen any horses yet." Some guys are just like that, man. People made fun of my guy Von Miller back in the day when Von Miller told everybody his dream was to be a chicken farmer. Like, he was just country.
Yeah.
That's what he wanted. That's what he did. He loved being outside and being with the animals and all that stuff. And you got a picture of Overshown here with his new horse and the family and everything. It's so cool. So cool. And I'm sure we'll get some good shots, especially if he can become something on this team. He's going to show up like he did at DKR, looking really sharp before games.
Oh, yeah.
DeMarvion became one of my favorite guys these last couple of years. Him and Bijan would always bring a great something to their look. And once Overshown realized how good he looked in that cowboy hat, it really put the look together.
Oh, he rocks it now.
Yeah.
That's a fly dude. He might be country, but don't get it twisted. That's a fly dude.
Yeah,
so.
I wish I looked a tenth as good in a cowboy hat or any hat as DeMarvion Overshown does. And then the thing she brought in football-wise I think is critical too. How will Dan Quinn use him? How much playing time do we get to see? Rod always talks about on the afternoon show with that positionless football idea with Dan Quinn. What does he do with DeMarvion? What is DeMarvion Overshown at this level? Can he be a badass version of what they want to be? Is it going to feel more like a linebacker? Is it going to feel more like a safety? What is he at the NFL level? Dan Quinn's got to figure it out.
Yeah, and that's the thing with him. There was so much learning that he had to do here at the 40 acres from changing positions and just trying to figure out the game and without thinking, just playing, off instinct. And Dan Quinn, I think, is going to make the best of that because he knows, okay, this guy's versatile. Sometimes he could cover guys depending on who it is. Sometimes he could rush the quarterback. And when he's playing freely like that, that's when you get the best of DeMarvion Overshown. So with all the weapons that they have for the Cowboys, I don't think his responsibility will be that high. But when he's out there, again, I think he'll be able to just play without thinking. And Dan Quinn's going to put him in a good situation to do that.
Zay, I got great news for myself and all Cowboys fans before we hit the break. Are you ready?
Uh-oh.
The money people are starting to get it done. The Cowboys and Trayvon Diggs have agreed to a 5-year, $97 million contract extension. Tom Pelissero throws that out there. Start checking boxes. Let's start checking boxes and find your way to Zach Martin as fast as you can. If it starts with Diggs and it needs to go to CeeDee Lamb, whatever, as long as you get to Zach Martin at some point. Congrats to Trayvon Diggs. 5-year deal. His son is excited about that. What's the little one's name again?
Oh, that little badass boy.
I forget his name. I can never remember what his name is, but he's become a star, and now Dad is locked in with a 5-year deal with the Cowboys. That story is just breaking in the last couple minutes. Up next, Why Today Matters. July 25th is where we are. Got a couple birthdays to get to. We were talking about the world-class model hottie that Tom Brady is supposedly hanging out with. I tell you about a world-class model hottie that has a birthday today. She used to be married to a massively famous person, too. A couple of them, actually. We'll talk about it on The Horn.
Forever.
Chad and Zay.
No waiting, I'll make your block infrared hot. I'm like Satan. Y'all feel the struggle. Y'all think of Luttle. Hustle behind the wheel. Trying to escape my trouble.
He can edit by making new words up. That's one way to do it. All right, Zay, I say it with singers, and there are a couple of rappers that way too. Nobody sounds like him but him. That's Jay-Z, right?
Hove.
Hova.
Jigga Man.
H to the Izzo.
That's right.
V to the Izzy.
As lame as that sounded, yes.
How dare
It is
you?
him.
How dare you? Sadly, that's about as cool as I can make that sound. No, he is fantastic. I dig a lot of Jay-Z. I am a Black Album 99 Problems guy because I'm a rock guy, so the Rick Rubin influence was big for me. I love that record, but there's a lot of other great Jay-Z out there as well. I did see him at the Irwin Center before they stopped over there. By the way, when are they knocking it down? Do we know?
Can't knock it down.
Well, at some point they got to knock it down, right?
For what?
Well, the Astrodome's still standing, so
yeah.
I guess sometimes you don't have to knock it down. If they do, though, I would love to get over there and check that one out. Jay-Z, Tina Turner, Madonna, Duran Duran, Bobby Brown. A lot of big names on the show today. Biggie Smalls, another big name. That beat started the hour. And we just had the big name of Haley Sutton covering the Cowboys, doing a great job for them. Haley does really, really good work. And if you're a Longhorn fan, you'll want to check out the DeMarvion Overshown piece coming out. Just keep looking for it on that Bally Sports show that they do, the Cowboys Report. And she's going to let everybody know on Twitter and social media when it happens at _Haley Sutton. She went and visited DeMarvion and the family in ARP and saw his new horse because DeMarvion is country, in case you don't know.
Wow.
Fantastic.
That's beautiful.
And like you said, Zay, there's a certain thing about guys that can say, and not many of them can, that club of, I grew up in Texas, I played high school football, I got to go to the University of Texas and play football, and then I ended up as a Dallas Cowboy.
Oh, it's rare.
Oh, my God. If he actually can make this team and make an impact and be a big part of it and then lock all of that in, plus he's a country boy who likes to ride a horse and wear cowboy hats and stuff, like, it's just going to be perfect.
Remember, a big part of the reason why the Cowboys selected him was because Jerry's grandson and him were locker mates.
That's right.
So when Jerry went to grandson and said, yo, what about this guy? How is he? All he could say was good things for obvious reasons. And he seems like a Jerry Jones guy. He has that countryness that Jerry can relate to. And you know he's going to work hard. You know he's proud to be a Texan and play for the Cowboys. So there's that extra motivation there. And if Dan Quinn can work it out in the right way, which I have a lot of faith that he could, one of the best coordinators in the National Football League, then DeMarvion Overshown could have a very good career playing in the league.
Yeah, probably also sometime out in Oxnard in the next couple of days, DeMarvion is probably going to, turn Jerry Jones onto a beer he hasn't heard about that's a little countryer than Jerry, and Jerry is probably going to turn to DeMarvion.
A little countryer than Jerry.
A little countryer than even Jerry is.
Oh.
Because in ARP, they may be drinking different things than Jerry's drinking, and then Jerry will say, DeMarvion, let me introduce you to my friend Johnny Walker Blue. This is your level now. This is where you want to be. And then they'll have a good time.
Yeah.
That actually won't happen. I'm sure the players aren't out there drinking in Oxnard.
I like what Haley said that Mike McCarthy said in the presser today about the Zach Martin situation, because we know that Trayvon Diggs just got paid, which is well-deserved. I think he's going to be even better with Stephon Gilmore being on that other side. But Mike McCarthy saying, all the right things, like, hey, we get that Zach is disgruntled, like this him sitting out. It's not a problem. We get it. We understand where he's coming from. Hopefully, we can find a solution. That's all you can say. Because to what the Specs Texter said about trade him, hell no, you don't do that.
No, I don't think you do that. And hopefully what we saw earlier is good news for Zach Martin, not bad news. 20 minutes ago, Trayvon Diggs agreeing to a 5-year deal. The discussion is that the Cowboys want to deal with Lamb and Diggs first, then get to Zach Martin, and then get to Terrence Steele.
Right.
That's what I'm reading earlier today is the order they want to go in.
I mean, as good as Zach Martin is, which is best in the NFL, I understand that. He's still 32 years old. And the dude that Haley named that's in Atlanta, that dude's in his 20s. Quentin Nelson's in his 20s. So, yes, the production's there for him, but how long is that going to last? You know what I'm saying? Like now, once you get over 30 and stuff, like it takes a lot longer to fight back those injuries, and you're in the tub a lot longer. Just things are different. You're not going to get up as fast as you did when you were in your 20s. So Zach Martin dealing with all those things. Plus, we just named out all the defensive tackles that he's going to have to face this season. So that's going to take a toll. And yeah, so I get both sides from it on why, they might be a little hesitant to give him exactly what he wants. But at the end of the day, Zach Martin, he probably is worth it.
All right, so it is July 25th. Let's get you a quick Why Today Matters. We'll talk about one of the most beautiful women ever, and I'm going to see if I can blow Zay's mind on this thing. Here we go. Zay, does the name Iman mean anything to you?
Ooh.
The international supermodel?
Yeah.
Back in the day?
Yeah.
If you don't know her, Iman, it's that simple. Just Google her. She is absolutely gorgeous. Happy birthday to her today. She hits 6'8" today. A lot of people know she was married to David Bowie. But Zay, I didn't know the other one. Before David Bowie, do you know who Iman was married to?
Nuh-uh.
I'm going to take you back to that Lakers thing on HBO. Spencer Haywood.
Oh, yeah. Spencer Haywood supposed to have that Giant Johnson.
I did not realize that they were. I'm sure it was because of other reasons. I'm sure he was just a great guy to be with, and they were compatible. I'm sure they were.
And she liked basketball.
Compatible in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy birthday to Iman today. Also, on the football side, today would have been the 70th birthday of the great Walter Payton, one of my favorite running backs ever. Died in 99, unfortunately, will always be remembered in football circles. Jackson State, the old school for Walter Payton, in case you don't know.
Sweetness.
How about this one, Zay? Two younger guys that will meet in week 2 as I look at the schedule. Alvin Kamara turns 28 today, back to running backs and age, and Bryce Young turns 22 today. Week 2, Carolina will host New Orleans. We would assume Bryce Young is the quarterback unless something really goes wrong in week 1. And then let's see what Alvin Kamara looks like. Derek Carr comes in at quarterback. They're trying to revamp things in New Orleans. 28-year-old Alvin Kamara. Still freaky, still twitchy, still dangerous. We're going to find out.
Yeah, he might not be able to do everything that he once did, but Alvin Kamara, he's still a threat, and he's had a lot of off-season issues, just distractions and stuff, the whole Vegas thing. Like, if it's just about football, then I think he'll be fine. And Derek Carr coming in is going to give that team new life. They're obviously picked to win the NFC South for a reason. We'll get to that tomorrow. But, yeah, I think Alvin Kamara, he has a lot of life. As far as Bryce Young, we know what he is coming into the league as a number 1 pick, former Heisman Trophy winner. Just what I want to see him take that shot. That shot where you go, ooh, where it makes you cringe, where the ref thinks about throwing the flag. Like, that's where I want to see, because him being that slight, that small, I know it was a big deal for him get over 200 pounds
in
the combine and
huge.
stuff.
Right.
How big of a deal that was. But at the end of the day, he's still small. And, you talk about Jalen Hurts, Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Bryce Young, one of the biggest parts of his game is to be able to make something out of nothing. And he did that at an elite level in college football, but the physical specimens, the athletes in the NFL, it's going to be way different. He's going to have to pick and choose his battles, when to run, when to keep it, when guys are coming at me and maybe I need to just go down and take the sack, when to throw it out of bounds and stuff. And we know his football IQ is, out the yin-yang, and I have a lot of faith in him, but there's been a lot of guys that you have a lot of faith in coming into the league, and it didn't pan out for them. Derek Carr, Ryan Leaf come to example. Hopefully Bryce Young isn't one of those guys, but yeah, I think he has a lot going against him, and that roster isn't the best.
Happy birthday to those young guys in the NFL. 47 days away from that first big NFL Sunday. Also on the entertainment front, today would have been the 100th birthday of Estelle Getty of the Golden Girls. I grew up on the Golden Girls.
Is that the grandma?
That is. She died back in 2008. The weird fact is Estelle Getty, she played the oldest one of the 4, but she was actually the youngest of the 4. She was younger, 1 year younger than Bea Arthur, who played her daughter in the show. They just used makeup, and she, played it up that she was an old woman. They had her at about 80 years old to start the show.
Good grief.
But she was the youngest, actually, of the four.
Yeah, weren't they really just like in their 50s?
I think she certainly was. She
like
certainly
the rest
was.
of the girls, the rest of the three girls, like, weren't they supposed to be in the 50s?
Yes, and she was supposed to be she was the mother, but she was actually younger than them. They used the makeup and stuff. That was a great show. Well-written show. She won awards for it. I can still dig some Golden Girls. So shout out to Estelle Getty, who left us too soon back in 2008. She would have been 100. She'd been a hell of a 100-year-old lady if she made it that far. We hope you're having a great July 25th today. Stay cool out there. It's another hot one, high of only 100, though. Hey, it's been 105 or 108, so only 100 degrees today in the greater Austin area. We'll take our victories where we can get them. Coming up, Stems and Seeds, NFL notes, plus those two big deals we started the show with today, including Jaylen Brown, who can cover dinner tonight. This is The Horn.
Chad and Zay.
Explosive. West Coast, plays a track. Girls that used to turn their back, causing me to yank they arm and pose like I would do them all. Now I'm saying thank you because they tell me my the bomb explosive.
Almost done with a Tuesday show. Chad and Zay with you. I'm Chad Hastings. He is Isaiah Collier. All right, Zay. Should I know this?
Yeah, you will now. Oh, never mind.
Oh, no.
You don't know this guy.
No? All right, who is it?
Dr. Dre.
Oh, okay. That guy I know.
Yeah, featuring Nate Dogg, Corrupt, Hitman 6'2", Explosive, off the Chronic 2001 album.
Oh, see, that's an album I've heard the original Chronic, but not the redone. So that was about 10 years after the first? Somewhere in there?
No, it came out in 99, which never makes sense.
Oh, 99. So the first Chronic was about 92,
correct,
93, and then 99. Okay. But it's called Chronic 2001.
Yeah.
Maybe they were making a reference to the movie like 2001. Is that what they were doing?
I don't know what Dre was doing.
Like new space age Chronic.
All I know, the Chronic was really good because they were off a couple of years.
I see. Fair enough. Everything I hear with Nate Dogg on it, I really enjoy. Like Nate Dogg a lot.
Oh, listen to him. Come on.
He's great.
All the hood rats still shaking.
Dude, he's great. I love Nate Dogg. I smile every time I hear him. Dr. Dre and Nate Dogg had some Jay-Z, little Tina Turner, Madonna, Duran Duran, Bobby Brown. It's all been on the show today. The Biggie Smalls beat to get the hour started. We thank you for joining us today. Remember, we are down to now 4 more shows with me and Zay. I think that's right. Wednesday and Thursday. And then, 3 more shows. Is that right? Yeah, Wednesday and Thursday. Zay's going to be off Friday, and then we'll be back for the last show. So it's 3 more shows with the two of us after today. And if you haven't heard all the current shows, last show will be August 1st in terms of the weekday shows. And we appreciate you being here all the time for all the different shows. And we'll be saying goodbye to different shows, this show. And, starting August 2nd, there will be a new lineup. No specifics on that yet. As soon as they have that, maybe information will get out like before the end of the other shows, or maybe it'll just be the morning of the 2nd. I don't know. We'll see what happens there. But 1019 and AM 1260 will still be the Horn for you. So the Horn will live on. 1049, though, will no longer be the Horn on August 2nd. So whatever you hear on August 2nd on 1049, no one in this circle is responsible for any of that. I am not sure where that's going to go on August 2nd. All right, so thanks to everybody for asking and trying to figure out what's going on and supporting all of our guys as things round down for some of the shows. All right, stems and seeds, let's get that for you, including these big deals, football, basketball. Let's go.
No stress, no seeds, no stems, no sticks.
Brought to you by AV Consultations, 255-8678, or go to avconsultations.com. It broke during the show. Cowboys and Trayvon Diggs have agreed to a 5-year deal. Hopefully that's good news for the other guys they want to sign. Maybe they're just getting going here at the beginning of camp. $97 million on that contract extension. Tom Pelissero threw that out. We told you earlier in the show about all the money Jaylen Brown is getting. $304 million on the Supermax. That is the richest deal in NBA history. We talked about that earlier. Also, Saquon Barkley did sign a 1-year deal. He's into Giants camp now. $11 million. Josh Jacobs still has not signed, Zay. Still has not signed the tag with the Raiders, although Raiders people are saying they understand his logic.
Yeah.
So they're not mad at him right now.
I mean,
at least yet.
You could argue their best player is Devontae Adams, but with Jimmy Garoppolo throwing them the ball, I don't know how big that argument is. They're going to rely a lot more on their running game, and that's where Josh Jacobs comes in. So he's trying to figure out his value there. They're letting them know, like, dog, look where the running backs are at right now. He's letting like, dog, look at our roster right now. Y'all need me.
Right.
So yeah, I think he's going to hold out for a while.
That's going to be a wild story. Sometimes it's about the quarterback getting away from the coach, but in this case, what happens when Garoppolo is no longer underneath Kyle Shanahan's mind, right? When it's not Kyle Shanahan dialing it up. Now you as the quarterback have to go prove that it was a little bit of you as well as a supermind.
Yeah.
So it's not like the Adam Gase stuff on the other side where everybody's like, oh, get Tannehill away from Gase or get this guy away from Gase. He'll be much, much better. Now it's about kind of the opposite. We'll see what Garoppolo. We know he's going to look sharp in the uniform. He may be the most handsome quarterback that ever played the position, but can he play? Can he be the guy with the Raiders? Watch the Josh Jacobs story as well. That one is interesting. And again, Jaylen Brown, now the richest player in the NBA, technically.